So where? Oh, there we go. Ah, greetings all, and welcome to the next episode of Legion's class there. So I hope you are all ready and you have your snacks or your biscuits or your cup of tea or whatever your brew is this fine day ready for an exciting class there tonight or today wherever you are scattered about and about in the universe and what have you. So yes, Legion's class is in session. Take your seat as five great travelers come to meet. And so, with your pens and textbooks poised, say hello to your hosts, Jesse, Sean, and Ostradamus Toys. But in the world of Mythos, there's heaps to explore. And so join them on their quest. There is also Brick Something and Eldor. Yes, come all ye factions from distant regions, as we discover the world of mythic legions. As once there was an age so far distant that only its stories remain. They tell of great peace and great battles, and legends where both good and evil make their domain. So gather ye all around as we learn of dwarves, centaurs, orcs, vampires, skeletons, and elves. And yes, also goblins, men, and trolls. There is so much to know. So sit a while till the class bell tolls. At the Four Horsemen, a journey awaits, one and all, where you can create characters, all creatures, both great and small, and summon your creation, be it minor or grand, just like magic from a spellcaster's hand. But be warned, and do not let a class go amiss, lest you fall victim to the dark powers of Necronominus. Oh, indeed. So, I hope you're ready there. And here he is, Oz, Brick Something, Jesse, and Sean. We're all together now.
Well done, Eldor. Well done. I gotta give it an applause there.
Thank you muchly. Thank you muchly. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Holy crap! Elvis is here, or is he leaving the building?
Elfdor?
Yes, they do get me confused there. They say, "Oh, Elvis." No, it's Eldor.
That was really, really great, and thank you for doing that and taking the time to write that. That was amazing, Eldor. Thank you.
Love it.
Yeah, I feel official.
Yeah, right? I felt like I was ready for a quest. Let's go.
Right, man? I want to
have my
up.
sword
the wise old man has sent you out into the land.
I was gonna say I got my sword right over there. Let's do this. I'm about to rip the shirt off and let's go.
Got your bags of holding ready.
Oh man. I feel like I leveled up. I'm like level 1.5 now.
Inspiration points for everybody.
That's right. Yeah. Oh man. So, guys, it's been a month, and here we are again. Class is back in session. I hope you all enjoyed your holiday breaks. I know several of you I've gone live with since, and even actually during the holidays a little bit, but it's good to have you all back and get this going because we've got some important business to go over tonight. The Necronominus waves closes tomorrow. Yeah. So this is everybody's last chance. If you want to get on and pre-order, I'll definitely be posting the link in the chat later if you're interested in Mythic Legions and you want to go. Hopefully, most of you have watched the previous two classes to get that little intro, especially the very first class, so that way you realize it's not all as scary and pricey as you all think. Mm-hmm. So that's like one of the most important classes we've had. But in any case, Eldor, how are you doing this week, sir?
it's a bit sunny, bit toasty out there today in Eternia. So if you hear a bit of a buzzing shenanigans going on there in the background, I have a bit of a fan there to keep me cool. And also very important, I have the old the Just Juice water bottle there. No juice in it, mind you. I drank that all. Yes, very important to keep the water going and flowing, as they say.
Yeah, yes, definitely agree.
I'm good there, sir.
Excellent.
How are we all?
I was going to say, let's move along over to Brick now. We'll just go kind of clockwise.
Hey everybody, I'm good. It's wet here in California, so it's a little stormy out. It's nice. It's nice to be indoors and streaming. Talking Legion. Sorry. So yeah, you're absolutely right, Oz. We'll get into it in terms of the myths around the cost again. We'll probably remind folks, but I'll tell you, those numbers can get up there if you're not careful.
It's
not their fault. It's mostly on this end of things. But anyways, how you doing down there, Jesse?
I'm doing pretty good. I finally got my apartment kind of all reorganized and straightened back up. I can finally get into my projects and relax now.
Nice.
Jesse, pass it over to Sean.
Oh, sorry. Wait, I don't know. Whichever way Sean is.
Who am I? Where am I? And where are my pants? That's my question tonight.
Well, as long as you don't stand up, it does. As long as you don't stand up, it doesn't matter where you're.
Yeah, I won't stand up tonight. 5 minutes away from Jesse. I'm pretty good. Can't complain. It's been a long month for me with my deadlines and stuff. So I'm a little slower tonight. I needed a nap before the class. I'm that guy right now. So I'm feeling my age.
The important thing is, though, that you got your nap and you still showed up to class.
About a half hour, but I'm good to go for a little bit. If you see me start going, don't take offense.
No.
Back in again.
No, we discussed.
I know how to wake you up.
He'll just drive over, smack me up the side of the head, and drive back home. He'll be literally 10 minutes round trip. He's fine.
Well,
we'll beat on the drums there for you, sir.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, every little bit.
The trumpet.
I was going to say, as long as Jesse carries the class, does a field trip on his phone over to your house, and we get to witness the smacking in real time.
I was just going to ring a bell that Sean doesn't like being rung, and that would probably wake him up.
Ooh, torturous.
There's a few that I don't like being rung, so I'm wondering which one you're going to hit on is the question.
Hopefully we don't find out.
Okay, I'll go with that, because if you ring the one, I'll know I'll just start fighting right off the bat, so I know that one.
All right, so let's get into it and say hello to the chat. And we'll go over any nice picks that we got this week, because I know I have something very nice that ties into tonight's episode and the closing of the Necronominus. Wait, God, it hurts to say, but I'm also kind of happy because that means they'll ship sooner too. So excited about that. All right, so first off, we got Eldor in the chat and in the class. He's pulling double duty. Always good to see that. We've got Adam from Radical Toys stopping by saying, hey, yo. The wonderful, lovely Duchess of Darkness is here with us tonight.
Lady, welcome you.
We've got Thanos Copter coming in fresh off of GamerBuds live stream on IG tonight. Thank you for being here, brother. And talking around saying hey to people. We've got Ray Black coming from the Great White North of Canada. What's going on, Ray? Glad to have you here. Thanks. So happy to have you. And oh man, can't thank you. I appreciate all that extra support. Reminding people, go hit that like button. It's always talking trash and deserves to get hit a lot. So just
and the like button likes you.
That's right. Just go smack the crap out of it. Carol is in the house. What's going on, big sis? Glad to have you here. Thank you very much. She actually became the latest patron of Skelevator, and she is now a Skelevatorite, an Ozhole, And we're still looking on Bobby's Patreon term, but we're leaning towards blushers. It may not be that, though. So thank you for being here, Carol. And again, thank you for the extra support. Appreciate it. You know what? Look, Brick's pulling the double duty too, jumping in the chat and holding down the class. Thank you guys. This
Saying
is
hello,
great.
just saying hello.
Overachieving multitaskers. I love ya. All right. JMac77 has joined the class. What's going on, JMac? Good to have you here, brother. Thank you. And mentioning the fact that, boom, Ray Black and JMac, if I remember correctly, 2 weeks ago, I'm still going to pull everybody's birthdays. We're going to start doing birthday shout outs. So happy birthday, guys. Thank you very much.
Hip, hip,
Happy
hooray.
birthday.
Or wait a minute. Is that this week or is it next week? I can't remember. Oh, I'm getting confused. I got to go back and pull that off. I've got too much going on in my brain lately. Sergeant Slaughterhouse. Zazel is in the house. Also, a shout out towards Elvis on Eternia. Can't miss that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, Thanos Copter,
Thank you.
he's registering what we're talking about, saying that he's not all in, but he is half in. Oh, yeah. All right. We got the Prowler in the house. He's taking a break from writing all of those scary stories he likes to write for Duchess, and he's joined the class. And newcomer to the class, we've got Cushy Mama coming into the house, hot off of IG. How you doing, Cushy Mama? Glad to have you here. And she's right there with you, Sean. She needs a nap, too. All right.
I feel good that somebody else does, because otherwise I'm feeling really old right now.
Also, as a matter of fact, Cushy Mama just got her new YouTube channel set up. So you guys can go check her out on YouTube at Cushy Mama. Go check her.
Okay.
Give her that good old subscribe. And Gamer Buds here, again, fresh off of his own live stream on IG earlier, opening up Too Bad, and unfortunately cut out and wasn't able to see the whole thing. So I like how he's calling us the Legionnaires, which is pretty cool. We might have to go by that. That sounds like a pretty cool group name. And then he mentions the chat, and he gives Sean's Classics Castle Grayskull its own hello. Because he's got his eyes set on the prize. He knows exactly what he needs to say hello to.
I do every time I come
Castle Grayskull.
And I say, hi, Grayskull.
I mean, it's important. It's got a personality onto its own.
Hello, Sean.
It's like every now and then I kind of open the drawbridge and it gives me some information or some, a little bit of like inspiration or advice. Unfortunately, it always tells more Mythic Legions, so I think it doesn't have the best. It doesn't have my best interests at heart. Let's put it that way. But it wants to have more on the shelf with it.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think it needs that Spirit of Grayskull from the Mysteries of Grayskull pack kind of floating over the top of it.
You know what? I agree with that completely, because growing up with those mini comics as a kid, the minute they put that out, I was like, oh, now they do it. Thanks so much.
Right. Now it happens.
Now
we'll have to see about hunting it down for you.
Yeah,
you do that. I'll take the robot and or the suit of armor, the spacesuit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take that. You can have the Spirit of Grayskull, and
hey, I'm good with that.
There we go. We'll just have to find it at a reasonable price.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Zazel following up with also that beautiful hit that like button. It's talking all this trash, man. Go smack it around a little. All right. And Adam from Radical Toys saying, good to see everybody together. Absolutely, I agree. Carlo, also newcomer to the chat. What's going on, Carlo? Thank you for being here. Man, I love it when we get to see new faces in the chat. Curtis Ackerman, co-host.
There he is.
Yeah, there he is, the man himself.
That's right.
The legend painter extraordinaire.
Absolutely. Curtis, it's good to have you here, brother. Thank you very much. And also Jesse's prime co-host for Just Shelve It. Awesome. Good to have
Nolan's
you.
awake.
Point of order,
There
don't say reasonable price about around Legions collectors.
Oh, well, reasonable to us. Different tiers.
That's a triggering word in the Cabal.
Different tiers. Well, I certainly don't go mentioning it in there.
Well, that's for secondhand though, typically.
Look, Even brings it up.
You
Bad
heard
word's a
it.
bad word, no matter where you use it.
I guess. I mean, typically they want you to understand reasonable
know.
is different to everybody. Therefore,
It was
but when it comes to a pre-order, I'd say most people would consider that reasonable at this point. Whereas if you're asking for an Atamon on the Cabal or a Keltis, reasonable can mean a whole different thing. So
right, because it's also
I
based
will
off of
just
that worth.
perspective or whatever. But yeah, no, and I agree. That's very much semantics for a lot of people. So it's true, but yeah.
I'm just having a bit of a castle malfunction there. Just carry
Oh
on.
God.
Oh,
It's phasing in and out. All right. And still growing through the chat, looking for anybody I may have missed here in the chat. All right. Oh, Rolando Flores has joined. Excellent. Good to have you here, brother. Thank you. Nolan has jumped into class. Man, I'm so happy to see everybody in class tonight joining us for what's probably going to be one of the best episodes ever. Because guys, we're going to talk about some really amazing, important stuff. Oh, just as I'm about to get into it, one more newcomer to class. Well, not a newcomer, a returning class member here, figuratively speaking, did an awesome job last night talking about many of the masters of the WWE universe figures and showing off amazing. Like, if you guys haven't checked out that line, it's really fun. All right, so let's get into it here, guys. All right, tonight's topics.
Yeah, why don't you let's throw up the slides. Yeah. So we were starting to talk about the world of Mythos, and we went through the sort of the landscape, the world. We introduced the different factions, and then we moved into the races and moved through quite a bunch of them, right? We talked about humans, we talked about elves. Anyway, I think today we wanted to focus in on the trolls and the skeletons, and it felt like that was a good thing to do at this moment because one of the most recent things to actually ship to Legion's fans are the trolls from the All-Star Trolls wave. Mm-hmm. And then tomorrow, as you've already mentioned, is going to be the end date of the 4 Horsemen pre-orders, right? For Necronominus, which is filled with many glorious skeletons. So we're talking trolls and skeletons today.
Absolutely.
So I guess we can go in that order and just kind of like, because I think we'll probably spend more time. So with the trolls, let's take a look at those first, and you all can just kind of like talk through whatever moves you. Actually be helpful to kind of like give us some context around when these guys came out and that kind of thing, if you have it.
The trolls came out. Sorry, I pulled up the wrong thing first here. I was looking in the factions.
Oh, you got it there, Jesse. Good stuff.
Instead, let's see. Where's the waves released? So, Sean, do you remember which one was the first troll? Was that the forest troll?
Forest troll was the last one, and Brontus was pretty early on, if I remember right, since he's one that a lot of people look at as a grail, and he, up until the All-Star wave, he's been a higher price troll compared to the other ones.
Okay, actually, Mythic Legion's
troll
1.5
is another one too. Yeah,
1.5 is the first release of the forest troll, and the stone troll were both originally released in Mythic's 1.5.
And I don't think I have a stone troll pick. So, yep, just the.
So if you go back to the other Brontus, the orange one,
this version,
that one there. So that's essentially the head that was on the original stone troll. That's considered the stone troll head sculpt.
Mm-hmm.
And the forest troll is the kind of classic one with like the bigger nose and the pointy ears.
Not sure what we have here.
That's
I don't
okay.
think we have here. Yeah.
That's all right. Those were the original two in 1.5, and the trolls are considered. They're part of a race or a collection of races or species called the impure. So they were some of those beings that were tortured and corrupted by the evil or the god that helped create the world, Helios, to thwart the people giving all the love and attention to Selene, the goddess.
Oh, yes.
Jealous bastard.
Yeah.
So tainted and evil. I mean, I really love the fact that, they decided to go in, and we've all talked about it before, how we love the world building aspect of certain toy lines. And I really think that Mythic Legions gets that. The Four Horsemen get that. You get a lot of these world building elements. How many other toy lines are out there putting out ginormous trolls to flesh out, their ranks and the armies of, whatever side the trolls may be on? You had a couple of giants in Motu. Lord of the Rings did a few, but there's really not many that are putting out like such a different scale of figure. I mean, I know, Brick, I watched your video, your live, with your unboxing.
Yep.
I mean, why don't you go ahead?
Trolls.
Go ahead and grab one of those up, and I'm going to full screen you for a minute. And do you have a regular sized Mythic Legions figure with you?
Sure.
All right.
So I got a baby. These things are ridiculously large. My first. So so I got the two. I went all in on this really tiny troll wave, right? It was really just the two of them. Again, and when I say just the two of them, they're well priced.
Oh, look at that!
Huge,
precious.
So huge.
And so, I was remarking that when I held this thing, it took me right back to Kenner Rancor back in the day. It very much feels like that Rancor, kind of like that size and everything. I remember having such a large, creature for them to interact with all my like little figures. And it's fantastic. And, like you said, there's this line isn't shy about trying to really create the sort of like diversity of the world and use scale in a way that's just intriguing and fun. So the fact that we got these, how much longer was it? You said the 1.5 after the sort of line came out, after the Kickstarter shipped, how long do people have to wait to see something like this announced? Are we talking a couple years?
I'm not sure how long it was between 1 and 1.5. Ethereum's Dozen, the birds, came out in between.
Mm-hmm. But not that long.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. February 2016, they were announced, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And Mythic Legions 1 Kickstarter was February 2015. So it was a year between the announcements of the wave. I'm not sure how long the production took on those. I wasn't into them then.
So it's like they just start this line the next year. Hey, we're playing with scale, right? And so you mentioned Masters of the Universe having giants. I mean, how long did it take for us to see something at that scale in Motu? And really, most of us didn't really get to see that, at least here in the States, right?
Yeah.
And of course, hindsight is 2020. But it speaks to this notion of creating this fantastic world filled with fantastic beings, and of course, all of the lore that you sort of mentioned that comes with it is fascinating. And again, scale. Here's an ogre. Scale character. So. These came out pretty early too, right? These came out before the trolls. So
I don't think so.
Oh, is it the other way around?
Yeah, I think the ogres got introduced.
Okay, they went small, large, and then came back to the middle.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Just looking at Carlo's comment here, Corn Boy said the dragon is coming.
Exciting.
I saw that interview.
Something for the knights to fight, I think.
That's another good thing to point out too, and I definitely want to highlight Jesse on that one. Your interview with Corn Boy was amazing.
Yeah,
and
it was great. And
it
Curtis,
was
Thank you.
yeah, you and Curtis getting a chance to sit down and talk with him was phenomenal. And I love the fact that, again, my sister's just getting back into kind of like the toy world and some toy collecting. She's actually been getting some of the Masterverse She-Ra figures, and she was looking into getting into Mythic Legions a little bit, and she caught last week's episode, or she goes, who is and what is a Corn Boy? It's just like, oh, Carol, it's like, that's one of the 4 horsemen.
Well, that's what I said with Sean when we went to Legions Con in 2021. He was like, "Oh, there's Corn Boy." I'm like, "A what?"
I think it's his call sign, like
Right?
in your G.I. Joe or the army there.
So we have, figuratively speaking, is asking Brick, what is the scale of that blue troll? Is that 12-inch or 16?
It's like between 12 and 13. It's actually closer to 13, I want to say. Let me check. Or was that the weapon? And they're hunched over, but yeah, closer to 12, I guess, with the hunch. And then with the weapon, forget about it. And I'll show that in a second. But since we're talking about the physical figure, and we can kind of go back to lore, because they are different, right? They're of different environments. These things are really cool, and they're definitely, they're much larger figures. So in terms of like articulation, it's a little bit different. They're like vinyl toys, like rotocasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really cool. So what I appreciate about them is like they are the same sculpt, but the paint jobs on them, especially, I don't have the forest troll. There's like some really cool paint going on all of them, right? Some of them are highlighting these sort of like backs in very different ways, so that they do, to me, feel very like unique, separate creatures. And then they do a little bit of differentiation there with the soft goods, right? With this sort of fur. They're not just different colors of the fur. This has kind of got this like soft fake leather looking thing sticking out in addition to the fur. This is mostly just this like soft stringy fur. And anyway, I love them. And then they've come with their weapons that I was sort of brandishing earlier when we were offering Eldor, you have my sword.
Yes, I've seen those swords. They're rather big there.
Lights up when orcs are around. I will say, the paints, of course, you get some paint rub because you gotta kind of get them in there. But sculpt wise, just having these things, they're wild.
They make them a bit top heavy too. They tend to fall over. See, you mentioned the Rancor there before, I believe, from Power of the Force 2. I had that one, and he had loose legs, so he tended to fall over a lot. So I had to put one of his hands resting on his knee to keep him standing up. But he was limited in his elbow articulation, though. But you could move his arms and legs and what have you.
And we don't have to go into the details of the business of the heads and stuff, but there are going to be alternate heads that will be shipping with these, and
right.
It's cool. And I'll confess, like I didn't necessarily know much about the lore at all. Like, just look at that thing. I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. I want it. Kind of in that very sort of toyetic way.
Right.
Yes, I pre-ordered that fellow there. I'm still waiting for that to drop out.
That's the forest
troll.
one.
Yeah. Oh no, the ice troll. Sorry.
The ice troll. Gotcha.
The one you showed there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I don't have pictures of the stone troll. I think that was of a different era in terms of the photography. They didn't have these really cool, like, environmental shots. But
right.
Anyway. Yeah, and I think a fun little lore bit would be about this weapon of Brontis's. Can you fill that in either, Jesse, or is that something you're familiar with?
Yeah. So Brontis, that he's got the stone troll head there. So his original head is the Cyclops head.
Yeah.
He's so far the only named troll in the official releases. Yep, there he is. He was in the Mercurian Coliseum, which is kind of like the gladiator arena, and he has sided with Sean's favorite faction, the Noble Bear. So he works with the Atlas and the barbarian type characters, and his weapon, that skull club, I believe is I'm trying to remember. Oh, how did they word it? I think it was a friend of his that he had to defeat in battle.
Yep.
And he uses that as a reminder. And if you notice, it's bigger than his head.
Yeah.
So
I was just about to point that out. Like, you can clearly see from Brick having that particular head on Brontis, and then you look and immediately see the parallel with the skull as the weapon there, and how much larger it is than his.
Mm-hmm.
And these are on the same plane to the camera, so that size-wise, you're right.
And I'm trying to remember if it was Maxilius the Harvester. I know we'll get into them, or Necronominus, but one of them have a teeny tiny stone troll head in their regalia somewhere.
Ooh, I actually kind of want to look that up, and then when we get into that, we'll talk about it. So I'm going to bring that up over here on my side of things.
But that's the trolls. I don't know if anybody else had anything else they wanted to say, or chat was curious about them.
I know another thing to point out. Go ahead,
Jesse, please. No, take it away.
The ice troll is, I think, one of only two figures that are not associated with a faction. I think the stone trolls and the forest trolls are associated with the legions of Erethyr. Brontis, of course, is associated with the House of the Noble Bear. But the ice troll is, as far as I know, I can't remember who the other one is. The unknown one, I think, is the only other one. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's the third one. Sean, do you remember if there's another one?
As far as I think you're right. Unknown one and ice troll are the only two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm blown away by the feet, the details of the feet. For whatever reason, I'm drawn to that part. I can totally imagine, just having done creative stuff. I feel like they just got stuck on trying to you can tell they love that foot. But anyway.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
And I've seen my buddy Douglas was walking around Legion's Con with a baby Bjorn with his troll in front. Walter always takes one with him through the airport. Walter Hagen from the Cabal. Yeah, they get a lot of attention if you take them out in public, apparently.
Right.
Yes, I know how that feels. I was looking after little baby Grogu there. He had him on the plane, and the air hostesses, they had to walk him out of the plane there, help him out. And yes, you do get the questions there. Good publicity, I think.
Excellent.
Great looking toys, man. Great looking characters.
We also have, I was going to say here, we've got a newcomer in. Well, not newcomer. He's been here for every Legion's class, but Skelevator has joined the chat, everybody.
Hey,
good to have you.
What's up, Skelly?
Really give him a lot of credit here, because if it wasn't for him, at least I would not be as connected with Sean and Jesse, as a matter of fact, because Jesse, first time I saw you was on Skelevator's channel.
Yes.
And Sean, of course, I'd listened to you and the Dooch prior to, but it was like, again, this forming of everything. And, Skelly brought class together before we knew we were going to have class together. So,
and of course, I found you, sir, from Skelevator's channel there, the art showcase he does there.
That's right. Just another thing we've got coming up on Toy Frenzy. Coming in February, we got the next viewer showcase where we're showing off people's custom projects. So knowing that we've get so many customizers and just amazing things going on with Legions and in the Cabal here, definitely check out Skelevator's channel, send him some emails, reach out to us on IG, send us your custom work if you want to show it off on Toy Frenzy's viewer showcase.
And he says, "Oh shucks, there."
Sorry, here I was just
Don't
looking up
be
one
shy
other
there.
thing.
Don't be shy, Skelevator, sir.
So yeah, we knew the troll talk was going to be a little short, but since the All-Star Troll Wave just came out, we definitely wanted to highlight that. And just again, Brick, you did a great job showing off the different scales there, because you got that basic figure scale, the ogre scale, and then the troll scale, and how much larger they are than the others. So
Skeletons, shall we?
yes, I think we shall, as a matter of fact.
Yes, I'm feeling rather humorous there today, shall we say.
And as a matter of fact, here real quick though, Jesse, you did send me a link here real quick, and I do want to bring that up.
Oh yeah,
because I don't want to jump right past. This is the last part of Trolls, and I just saw that little red dot saying there was a private chat.
that's all right.
Bear with me here for a moment, Brick. I'm going to steal screen back.
Yeah,
from
for
you
sure. Yeah.
I wanted to show this off, talking about those trolls, and
oh yeah, good stuff.
Boom.
Yeah, so Melissa Somerville, aka part of the Lady Tank Studios. I was fortunate enough to get to help her make that announcement before Legions Con that she was making troll harnesses, troll aprons, all sorts of accessories. So if you have your troll and you want to make them look a little bit more different, if you're getting a couple of them or whatever, she's got a great system. And like the Legions and Legos, it is a system. So there's going to be different things where you can clip harnesses on the back for weapons. And I know there's more stuff in the future coming when they figure out how to get the pauldrons snapped on there. There's little pieces that'll snap on to give the trolls pauldrons. So if you want to deck out your trolls with a little bit more, that's Lady Tank Studios is her store, and they're just awesome people too. So really cool people, really creative, and just wanted to give them a plug.
That's great.
Of course.
Definitely. Absolutely. Always all about, sharing the love, spreading it around, making sure everybody's checking out everybody else, because the toy community is absolutely amazing. And, it's important to see what other people got going on, because, you may not realize how much more is actually out there if we didn't share everybody's content. So it's very important to do that. And if it's something you're getting into, you got to know where to look for all the resources. All right. So, Brick, let's bring this back up, because we're going into the skeletons. Necronominus Wave is going to close down tomorrow, and it's important that we talk about skeletons while we still have Necronominus Wave available to us, because otherwise you might miss out on some really awesome skeletons.
Yeah, maybe before we start off, we do a little bit of a recap of, like we keep saying, Necronominus Wave, and this is Necronominus themselves. Let's kind of talk a little bit about how much of a big deal this character is, and that we're getting this whole wave. If you could break that down.
Yes, let's narrow it down, shall we? Narrow. Carry on.
Oh my god, I couldn't make audible laughter because it just hit someplace down. I'm a dad, so those dad jokes hit hard sometimes. Oh man, thank you so much for that. Oh, it's a good one. So good. All right, well, I just want to give a shout out because Sean hooked me up yet again. Just about 100% about 99% of my legions so far have come from Sean. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
He just sent me this amazing, beautiful Scaphoid as he's getting rid of some parts. He's got to let go of some collections, and they're going to a good home when it comes here. But he is one of these gorgeous skeletons. I am a fan of Bone Skull. You know, I'm holding it up to my camera. I don't even full screen myself. Gosh, I'm ridiculous. You know, as much as I think I'm a pro, I'm still not. But the beautiful green and yellow colored texture of the bones just kind of reminds me, first off, of Skeletor. And gorgeous, gorgeous purple on him. The evil looking boots, which are actually the same on, you know, the beautiful Ostradamus custom, who now has his antlers. And definitely not afraid to gore people with those. So I was excited because I wasn't thinking I was going to get any skeletons until this wave comes out. However, now I already have probably one of the coolest looking ones out there with his gorgeous green tinted weapons, which just remind me that they have the poison effect on them. So I have to be careful with handling those because I don't want to poison myself in an accident. You know, collateral damage. Anybody who gets those video game references, because they're amazing. And watch out for Scaphoid. They explode. Oh, see, I was not aware of this. Oh man, so much more I need to learn. That's why I'm coming to class. Come to class regularly so you get the knowledge.
With an umbrella there, since they explode.
I'd be a little worried.
His bio is cool. It says that specifically gifted talent magic users that are brought back by Necronominus, their magical power sleeps into their bones, and he's like a ticking time bomb. Waiting to go off. And the cool thing about Scaphoid is he was chosen as the representative of the faction of Necronominus to the Covenant of Shadows, which was the kind of Council of Elrond, if you will, from Lord of the Rings, of the bad guys in discussing the resurrecting their dead gods or trapped gods.
Nice. Just so amazing.
So you send the time bomb to the council meeting. It's like you want something to happen.
Yes, absolutely. You know you do. You know you do.
Yes, it's good that Necronominus there has all these fellows around him. Otherwise, he'd be spreading himself out there far too thinly, I think.
Well, that's it. Like in his bio, it says out of the four of the dark gods, he's the one they defer to. So he's basically the leader of the four, if you want a default leader. And if you think about it, any battle that happens, he gets more army for whatever dead is left. And it's like, that guy, that's insane. Like, the whole concept of Necronominus to me is actually like, out of all of them, that one actually like shows me to the bone. No pun intended, but he does, because of the fact that if you're fighting him and you die, you basically become one of his ranks after that point. You're screwed. Like, that's crazy.
Absolutely.
So now after this guy comes out, this is the fourth horseman. This will be the last of the four horsemen to be released, right?
The last of the Dark Four, yeah.
The Dark Four and their steeds actually will also be coming out. So this sort of completes that part. Yeah. And so I don't know if folks are in terms of like trying to track that down, because I knew at one point I was kind of like, oh, no, I'm cool with the horses, and then at a certain point I was like, well, they're horsemen. And so, you know, I did do a little bit of going back and just making it at least to make sure that I had the four of them and their steeds. So it's a good time.
Yes. I mean, I've definitely looked into trying to do so myself. It hurts though, but I do. You know, I've looked at him like, oh man.
It's a good hurt.
It's a very good hurt. Versus I ain't afraid of no ghost. He's gonna bust out, you know, the
He knows who to call there, in other words.
Well, I mean, he's not a ghost, so...
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Their proton packs are a little less effective. This guy with the nature boy. Okay, so a little wrestling joke there about the Four Horsemen stable in wrestling.
Before we move on to sort of beyond this character, I just want to say the design of this when they revealed this at G-Con a couple months back. I mean, this is after several already kind of like mind-blowing reveals, but when I saw this thing in its full regalia, the soft goods and the sort of the crown, the wings, everything, I love the look, and it kind of feels like it kind of like is taking nods from some like Buddhist sculptures in Thailand is kind of where my brain went.
Definitely.
And I love, I mean, it wasn't like, hey, we're going to copy this, but it seemed like things that we're familiar with in this this character. And I love it. Like, it's not necessarily where my head would have gone if it was like, oh, big, scary skeleton being is going to come. For him to feel so regal and decorated, and I love it. And I love the shot by Trevor. This is kind of floating with those wings. It's perfect. You see the feet dangling. It's gorgeous.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I've got him up here on my other screen. I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the toy itself and the decoration of it. It's like you can just tell that they honor this one so much more. That's why he's so well decorated. He should be not only feared, but revered and respected because he's death incarnate. And
yes, otherwise he doesn't have much meat on him, you see. So he needs to be filled out a bit.
From hell. It comes directly from hell.
Yeah, the one of the things I love about the congregation of Necronominus is like the whole kind of like religious aspect of it.
Yes.
How his kids are military, but they're also like Morgulith is like the high priestess, but the leader of the faction. So I like the mixture of, yes, you've got your bones and everything, but he's almost like an undead angel priest. From I don't know. That's just the vibe and like his headdress. I think I said this on the previous show. He's got wings in that headdress surrounded by the bone ornamentation and everything. I just think since they're like directly opposed to the Aetheron, that just really stands out to me as like a kind of like a middle finger, flipping the bird, if you will.
I'll flip that bird at 2022. But yeah, I agree. Like I love again that, like you said, about the fact that it's a congregation. It's got so much religious tones to it. And I've got the whole faction pulled up here, and I'm looking at each and every one, and they're gorgeously sculpted. And I am so happy to be getting in at this wave.
Yeah, that's what Thanos was saying too.
Yeah, absolutely. Boom. There it is, right there. It's saying exactly what I'm saying. You're on the same plane as me, Thanos. And even others in his faction, like you can just totally look and see that, I mean, aside from like the army builder type ones, that they've pretty much everybody has that kind of religious overtone in some way. And it works so well for this, and the lore itself, like it's perfect.
No, I'll be miss. I'll have to pass on this. I don't have the gold on me, unfortunately. So yes, my gold purse is looking rather bare bones there.
Mine was 2 after today. But let's not worry about that. Let's look at some more skeletons.
So I see Corey's asking where the story comes from. All the stories can be found on their bios in Source Horsemen. And the Four Horsemen, the Dark Beasts, are based on Eric and the studio's interpretation of the four horsemen of the biblical apocalypse in Mythos, but it's their own take. It's not supposed to be a 1-to-1 exact representation of them.
Right.
Right. So essentially, this is death, right?
Yeah. Oh man, going straight to Sir Ukzak with his skull head.
Yeah, I wanted to include some of the folks from the Necronominus wave that on first blush, on first glance, aren't skeletons. But as Sean pointed out, if you get killed in battle, there is a character that will bring you back. And so I think it's amazing. So essentially, the way these were presented at G-Con, it was like they went through most of the wave. They showed the human and sort of non-skeleton, the orc characters or whatever. And then at the end, they revealed, oh yeah, by the way, they all have skeleton heads because when they're killed, they're going to be brought back as skeletons. And it was amazing. So I love this.
Yeah. And I got to point out on this figure specifically, because I was really excited to see this on Jeremy's live on Mythic Conversation Wednesday night, that armor piece with the sword and all the embellishments right over the chest and the up around the collar, like that comes off. So you'd have like a standard looking armor torso under there. I don't think they've put any official pictures of it up yet, but so if for folks who wanted to Legion build this, you're not going to have a dozen of these characters or whatever with the super fancy specific ornate armor if you choose to take it off.
Right.
Yeah, that was in Mythic Conversations this Wednesday or whatever day that was, right?
Yep.
It was, I wonder how many people were like, oh, I'm going to go back and get another one. Because I know that originally my plan was like, yeah, I'm just going to get the one because it's cool. And then I saw that and I was like, oh, it became such an internal battle to figure out. It's like, oh, how cool would it be to have the second one? And they showed you everything. They said, well, what if you wanted to have one armored arm? And, which is what I think a lot of people would do, and sort of like showed it with the pauldron armor. So you can start. This really gives us new pieces for the ogre scale because pretty much they've essentially been the same parts up until now, not counting heads, but yeah.
Everything is new on him except for the feet. They're the same armored feet that came with Kurzog or the unnamed builders, I think.
So you said you could take up his armor and what have you. So does that mean he has a bit of a spine there?
No. Just that piece with the sword and the wings, and it says like I forget what it says. It's like a Latin type text.
Divinus Imperial.
So just a main filled out body, is it?
Yeah. So just the part right around his neck with that golden purple collar and that kind of shield looking piece coming down over the chest lifts off over the neck, kind of like the Equidron neck piece or like the other one. It just comes down more. So when you take that off, it looks like a standard piece of like plate mail for the torso.
Yes, that's why I said, does he have a bit of a spine there under all that?
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all right.
Who knows? Maybe.
I hope you get my joke there.
Anyway, just wanted to show, again, different scales, giving characters different, ways to display them, and they still fit into the story. It's pretty fantastic. And he comes with a giant, like, keg hammer, which is with wings, which I think is hilarious. Whenever I see that thing.
Looks like Odin's face on the front of it.
Yeah.
I love that the first fully armored knight they gave us as a heroic character is an ogre who decided to become a good guy.
Right. Absolutely. It's another one of those neat nods. Like, look, here is this creature, and he decided, you know what? I'm going to become noble. I'm going to rise above my culture, I guess, kind of in a way. And and like, I'm going to cast that to the side, and I'm going to become holier than thou and just become this knight of honor and nobility. And seeing it like this, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway.
gonna have to get a custom head for him and make him into an unhelmeted ogre as well.
Oh man, yeah. There you go. That would be a great pack.
And yeah, all white armor. Again, it's a really cool it's a cool character.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Again, same kind of thing. We don't necessarily need to go too deeply into some of these, but these, again, if you're looking at the Necronominus waves, these are the characters that they introduce as human. This one, Sir Elijah as a human. And then I believe, that was the last one. He has a switchable faceplate to put in this, again, undead, or this skeleton version. And just the sculpt of that is like, that's just really cool. It's like, they have a bunch of skeletons already, but they've got several different like skeleton face sculpts, which I love. This isn't hey,
you get this and you get the undead builder pack. You throw one of the arms and legs from the skeleton bones on there, and you've got a skeleton Templar, and you can, it's a brilliant way to get you to buy more of the exact same figure because of all the options you can do with it. And be happy about it.
Yeah, it makes it less cringy to buy multiples. You're just kind of like, yeah, I did. Oh, but it was worth it because of, when you're buying. Because again, like talking a bit more about the pricing and everything like that, Sir Elijah's $37.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, get a couple of the undead builders or a skeleton army builder, and you swap in little bits and pieces, not necessarily the whole thing, because you can just pop and swap certain joints and parts. So it's like one arm can be like normal, like it's still hanging on. And then you can make the other one look a little bit more undead, like the armor kind of fell off of it or something from the pauldron down. And now it's a whole different toy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't feel like, oh man, why am I buying duplicates of just this one guy? Which you can end up doing with certain toys and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like you said, the price point on this one, I believe, is $37.
Yeah, I'm looking at him right now. He's $37.
Which is the typical named character price on pre-order currently. Once it goes to Big Bad or the other retailers, I'm sure it'll be closer to probably 45 or 50.
Yeah.
It's got soft goods
there usually. Yes.
Depending on where you get it from. So yeah, you'll pay a little bit more if you wait, but you usually don't have to pay till it actually comes out. And there's improved articulation on this figure and everything. It's almost a completely new head to toe sculpt. I think one or two pieces I think are the same.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure some customizer out there has already done a faceplate of the dude from The Last Crusade, from Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, with that armor and everything. That's totally what I see.
Yeah.
Yes, I see. Sir Gerard there mentioning how they're going to keep the bone color uniform between all the skeletons there in case you want to, pop and swap and customize and not have the odd
super
bone
smart.
color. Mm-hmm. So that helps, I feel.
Oh yeah, tea stain the soft goods, perfect. Yeah,
I was gonna say it was a really, really good idea. Thank you, Carlo. And yeah, here's Nolan mentioning about the Indiana Jones vibes, and it's true.
Yep.
Elijah looks great with the skeleton head. I agree.
Although I know we're talking about the skeletons. I love that the Templar cross in Mythos is representative of the Heaven's Brand sword.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So even though it has a very real world connotation to it, and it brings off certain vibes, again, like, we're talking about a wave of going up against the undead. And of course, they've got these Knights Templar looking fellows going off of it. And it's like, yes, that's what we correlated to Crusaders and such in the real world. But in here, it's a slightly different meaning, but yet it still has that same context.
Yep. Because I'll be honest, I really struggle. I was like, why, if this is in another world, why do they have cross? Like, I was really struggling with that. And then I figured that out and I was like, oh, okay, that works.
All right, shall we?
Yes.
Sorry, I love this wave.
I know.
I love this wave.
You picked the greatest pictures for the race with this wave. And
excellent! It's that death dude.
Yeah, so
Excellent.
wow.
I sank your battleship.
Speaking of amazing $37 that it doesn't make you feel bad for buying more than one of.
Oh man.
Maximilius the Harvester. So
I
like here,
love this figure.
yes, yeah, 100%. And it is in his garb when you were talking about the little stone troll skull.
Okay.
It's right at the center of his breastplate.
Okay. I knew it was on one of them. I know everybody loves this death version. I'm 100% not doing that. I love his. If I get multiple of him, it's going to be him as his character or for the bony parts. That came out weird.
I will not confirm or deny. Okay. You know what? Everybody wants a good bone.
It came out like funny bone.
Maximilius will give you a good boning.
And oh god, you know what? Keep talking. I'm going to see if I can pull up something because. But so this, just so folks know, this is under skeletons, and this is probably the best sort of clear example of the new skeleton body that we're getting visually.
Mm-hmm.
But as you said, this is derived from a figure that's a named character who isn't exactly, is he? I mean, I guess he's a skeleton, but I think
His
he's
race
technically
is
listed
listed.
as it's something different.
Unknown.
Yeah.
Because neither of the pictures here show his actual, the character's head.
Yep.
Which has like the fused in eye sockets. So
Right.
I have a feeling we'll see something. I'm not necessarily in the All-Star 6, which is going to continue the Necronominus, but I'm sure somewhere down the road we will see more of his story.
Yeah.
I hope so, because his character bio is definitely one of the best. And just again, I have him up on my screen right now, as a matter of fact, because he is hands down probably my favorite out of this wave. Because again, it's one figure, 3 looks. Buying more than one is not an issue. See, Brick's doing.
Did it change?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So you can see
They got
it
their
there.
fine
Okay.
cut.
I wanted to show this just because it made my week. So this was posted last week of the body, and a lot of the this is a completely new head to toe body type. Is that right? Yeah, maybe hands or whatever, but just in terms of the posability of this thing and what you can do with it, and there are a lot of skeletons out on the market right now as far as action figures go. There's a lot of people doing them, and this one is just so good. I love it.
Right.
Absolutely. That's the best right there. I mean, this is,
and this isn't even the full articulate. This is still, what are they called? The fine cut. So it's not the full, factory, injection molded plastic that we'll actually get in hand when they actually ship.
Right.
Yeah.
But the posability, the beauty of it all. I mean, let's face it. When somebody says they got big bones, these guys definitely got big bones. Because I can guarantee you my femur and humerus are not even close to that large, and I'm a big dude. But
I'm trying not to repeat my joke from G-Con.
Do it. I mean, unless you think it'll.
Might as well. We all have.
Look, man, I'm not monetized. Go for it. I probably never.
Well, it's not bad. It's just Sean's probably sick of hearing this. I got to be up for the reveal of him, on the G-Con stream, and Jeremy DeWitt was with me, and he said something about like, look at how thick his bones are, and I was like, yeah, these are my thick legions. And
Love it.
a couple people
I was
caught it.
hoping
It was
for more of a reaction from Sean there. And,
I'm
and
just
all we
along
got
for the
was a
ride on that
little, like I
story.
was hoping for an eye roll or something.
Sorry.
I love it. I love it.
You set me up for that one, and I completely goofed it. Yeah.
But
It's all good.
Their race is skeleton, so yeah, their bones. It's a magical world. They're animated, you know, so they've got to have some sort of different physiology going on, right?
Yep. Sorry, I know at some point I'm gonna try and bring this back to social distortion.
I can't wait to see that.
I'd totally want to buy a hat for one of my skeletons now to put on there and make social distortion.
But yeah, and then that robe is cool, you know, like I know not a lot of people, there are probably a lot of people actually who are going to want to do that Grim Reaper. But you know, you take that robe, you can put it on another character. I know I ended up, there's a Super 7 the Worst figure that's sort of a Grim Reaper. And I was just like, oh man, I probably wouldn't have gotten that one had I seen this, just because this is so good. Anyway, skeletons are coming. Like actual skeleton figures are coming. And based on everything they've been putting out, sounds like, as you said, more and more are going to be coming, continuing with the All-Stars wave after this. And so,
like I said, I needed to get this guy prior to this just because I was so excited about this wave. I couldn't wait to get my hands on some. And Sean presented me with an amazing opportunity to do so. And thank you, brother, again. I appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you.
Because it's an amazing, well, this one's an amazing figure. This whole wave is right up my alleyway. I mean, for people who know me personally, I have a collection of skulls and bones and other things. You know, outside of toy collecting, I do collect other stuff. And like this wave just hits. It's toys, it's skulls, it's bones. Like it hits every mark of things that I collect pretty much.
I'd say for anyone that wants to see more on the figure and the way they pop and swap, the arms, the legs are all interchangeable with the regular 1.0 bodies, like the standard knights, like the, you know, the full size figures. The torso and the hips are different because the way they had to articulate them. So those, you won't be able to put that chest piece on, say, like the knight hips.
Right.
But you could put knight legs on it. But that would look weird.
So in other words, you can connect the arm bones to the wing bones and the head bones to the back bones.
Yes.
So Jesse, on that note, do you know the knees down you could connect to an existing?
Yeah, I believe you can put the knee the way I believe the joints work. You should be able to put the knee. So if you wanted to put like a piece of armor on the shin from, you know, the knee to the foot, you could do that and then have the foot go into the. I believe they're all supposed to be completely interchangeable with 1.0 stuff. I said, if you check out Mythic Conversations this week, Jeremy and Joe Vassapolo were doing that in the studio with the prototypes and everything.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I got that far. I had to stop and rewind the Ogre Scale guy to check out that armor over and over again.
I know. Oh, man.
All right. Shall we move on? Let's see what we got. Now we're getting into some of the older. Oh, God, these guys are gorgeous, too.
Oh,
I
lovely.
know. Oh, man.
I'll tell you what. I just went blank on his name. Malleus in the green and the on the left.
Yes.
I got him at maybe it was ToyCon New Jersey last year with Sean, the day before Legion's Con, when Legion was just a add-on one-day thing to that show. And I read his bio and I was like, oh, he's got siblings. Oh, they're the children of Necronominus. So then I saw Mandibulus the next day. I had to grab him, and then I tracked down Morgulus shortly after we got back. And now they have a fourth sibling who's not a skeleton. But yeah, it's just that and the bios and how the bios will link to 1, 2, 3 other characters is just what really hooked me on all of this.
Oh, yes, by all that, it looks like Necronominus there had a few ankle bone biters.
Oh,
Oh, stop it, Eldor! I know.
Eldor, poet / stand-up comic. I'm loving this part today, man. That's
Ice
great.
has joined the chat, and he's mentioning that these look so cool. Absolutely, Ice. I mean,
Is that a pun?
it's a whole. It's very punny. Oh, dad jokes run rampant when you have a bunch of 40-year-olds talking about toys. So
Are these
okay,
three?
everybody. Okay, let's be more stern.
Are these 3 characters all stock? I'm not familiar with the third one on the right, the red and black one. Is that how it comes, or was there any work done on that one?
that's
that
Brother
looks
Mandibulus.
that looks stock.
Okay, it's a cool
does have
treatment of
that
the armor.
Yep, and he's got that shredded like waist skirt, soft goods, and yeah, he's got a lot of detail on his chest piece as far as like the paint goes.
Yeah,
I just want to point out, like, you can kind of see the similarities between these 2 figures, right? You can kind of see where the parts are, but they ended up doing this Necronominus wave, and they're just like, yeah, those are great. We have those, and we're gonna tool up all new pieces and just, go wild. I love that about this company and this line.
Right.
I think because the skeletons were in the initial
Kickstarter.
The initial Kickstarter, so like they're getting to the point now where they can really stretch their legs. And Jeremy and I think even Eric was pointing out at G-Con and all that the those 3 figures there were all sculpted by hand originally. So with Necronominus, it's all digital, 3D sculpting.
Yeah.
So it's allowing them to spend more time on details and do other things than when they were having to do it all by hand just to make sure it worked as a figure. So they're able to do all this other new stuff with it, which I just think is really cool that technology is catching up with their dreams of what they want these things to look like.
Yep.
Right. Absolutely. I agree.
I was looking to see if I had any of my older skeletons. I don't have any, but they're great. And those are fantastic figures too.
You look good there. A good radius of my days, you might say.
Let's see who else we've got coming. Oh yeah,
there we go. So some of the other more named skeletons in the bunch there, we have. Well, in the center, that's Tibius, right?
Yep.
Okay, and I got to go look up the other guys because
the guy on the left is. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Clavian's the red one.
What is it about the red bone, Sean?
It's because of magic. It's what was it like? He was a sorcerer in life, and that made his bones turn red based on the kind of magic he was doing, or something. If I remember right.
Cool. Magic steeped in blood, according to the source.
Steeped in blood. Okay.
Yep. And his bones are the poison. The red bones are the poisonous ones.
Yeah.
And he's a Fury clan, but.
The funny thing is he didn't come with like any bone weapons, if I remember right. So like that hopefully is something that's coming up maybe in the All-Star wave or something where they're going to have like bone weapons that you can give to some of these characters, since that's actually part of his bio.
Yeah.
He just came with the standard weaponry for the 1.0 wave.
They can use their own, with their enhanced strength, they can use their own bones, like dislodge their own bones and use them as weapons. Poison.
No rib spared.
Nope.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. I mean, these guys are crazy.
What's the deal with the guy on the left with a sort of like, I love the treatment, the painting on his armor, kind of, looking like oxidized. But And his head is like, what's with the dark skull?
That's just
story.
He is Ilgar. He
Mhm.
is in the All Stars 5, so he'll be shipping within the next couple months. He is a Viking, basically. So his armor. I don't have him in person yet. Sean, have you seen one in person?
No.
They've it's supposed to look like he literally just like crawled out of the grave.
Wow.
Okay, so he's
So I
like
think
very
it's just-
dirty looking.
I think he's just dirty and old. I think
Got
that's why his bones are the way they are.
Yes,
He also has
other fellow
the-
there. He has too much iron in his bones, I think.
He has the other head too that has the bearded helmet with the wings to give it that more Viking look. Or is it?
Oh,
I
that's
don't remember.
right. That's right.
Which everybody sees that and they immediately think it's a dwarf, but it's not a dwarf.
So J-Mac was bringing this up here about how Jeremy also mentioned picking up extra tupiculi for something coming soon. Now, tupiculi again is another unique. Well, since you got it up there, Brick, a
What's
very unique skeleton in the set. Tupiculi.
Sorry, I didn't realize you were looking at that.
Yeah, you got that on the screen there, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was on the same. Because I was like, oh yeah, no, I've got that All-Star
You
wave
know what? I
coming
need
in.
to go order.
No, I totally. I was like, yeah, what else is going to be coming in that All-Star wave again? Anyways,
Remember when you share a screen.
yeah.
So I'll actually bring it up here though. So
Oh, what? Yeah, go for it.
so people can understand what we're talking about with this wave, and then Tupiculi in general. And then,
do you want to show that character?
Yeah.
Okay, I
If you
can
want to
go
bring them
out.
up on yours, since you already got it up.
You know, I got real geeky when we last talked, and I was like, no, I really got to separate these out by the different races. So he's got it's got its own listing here.
Excellent.
Okay. So this is a very unique skeleton in the Necronominus wave.
It's a legion of monsters, and none of them are supposed to look the same. That's why it comes with so many different parts. It's essentially to be like the original deluxe, or the original Legion Builder deluxe figure or barbarian with the bare chest and with like the different sets of horns and everything. I believe it's got multiple ports on the back to get those multiple arms. And I believe Jeremy all but said something's coming in the All-Star 6 Plus wave that you'll want this for. If he didn't flat out say that.
It has a bit more calcium to it, shall we say.
Yeah. So we finally have dwarf bone thighs, dwarf size, so dwarf or goblin sized bone thighs there.
Look at that shot.
Just look at all the pitting and weathering on those bones is just so cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, speaking of something that just came out of the dirt.
And the weapons too. Check out the weathering on this thing.
You know, Mattel, I know you're watching. This is how you do a wash.
Yeah.
I can't even with Mattel. I gotta separate those two worlds and just sort of know when I'm opening up a Masterverse figure. I'm like, okay, I know what I'm in for.
Yeah.
You got the cut armor here too. I thought that I don't know. Anyways, lots of cool little details. And then
I think it's a bendy tail, if I believe correctly. If I
Really?
believe correctly. Yeah, I believe I read that or heard they said that it was a bendy tail.
Since
all
I've got
the
it up
little
to
vertebrae in there.
While Brick's showing it, I actually have it up too on my screen here, and I'm going to try to read to see if that's one of the details.
Oh dear!
Listed
I'm having feelings of a vertebra go.
And there's those joints you were talking about.
Get some water there.
Right.
There's those ports you're talking about there. They go straight in. There's no no adapter or anything.
And those are all 1 point. So if you want to put those wings in the arm, like the regular shoulder sockets, you can. If you want to put the short arms to make it like regular size, and the bangles on the arms are loose, so they'll like rattle around like they'd been on flesh before whatever it was, had died. And Belulith, the fourth sibling, is the commander of this legion of monsters.
I'm glad you said that. I was wondering about the sort of like, the abrupt shift when you go from sort of here to here. But yeah, I guess it's loose, like you said, and yeah, I guess you can push that thing forward and back or whatever. Because at first it's kind of like, why does his arm shrink? But now I get it now.
Yeah, it's just, I think there's another picture where you can see it down on the wrist on one of the other pictures, like further down. Maybe the staged shot, maybe not.
There you go.
He doesn't even have it on that one.
In the background, the backhand.
Oh, the backhand. Yeah. So just little details like that they're putting in to just make it more interesting and not just fused in pieces, And
look at this head, man.
I think it has 2 heads.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, one with horns, one without.
Oh, yes.
And in the latest Mythic Conversations we were talking about, they did a lot of work with this one too, and kind of putting it on different bodies. And again, I need to go back and check that out. The paint job on this piece, that blade. Whew.
And again, this isn't even final either.
Correct. Yeah, these are all hand painted prototypes.
Enough,
yeah. So this is the stuff they send off. They keep one and they send one off to the factory. I mean, look at that pose.
Yeah.
Right. That arm smashing down. Like, it's a straight monster.
So they're sending off to the factory there. Do they keep a bit of a fossil record? Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the idea that you'll have a legion of these, like a bunch of these, and that each one could be completely different. And again, I've mentioned before, I'm like this part of what I love about this line is the pop and swap thing, and it comes from the whole Lego thing. And there's just something about having a system and having all these different parts to play with that you can kind of just create your own thing that just works for my brain.
100%.
Damn.
And you can mix those parts. So if you want to make some weird deformed soldier, you can take those long weird arms and put them on that Elijah body we saw earlier with one of the other heads or whatever. You can just do whatever you want with this stuff for the most part.
There's a more upright one. Look at that, man.
Yeah, Corey, a legion. These things are from, I believe the story says they're from the First Age, and they've been banished with Necronominus and Belualith in wherever they were banished to. So I'm sure they're getting out of prison. That came out. That probably sounded worse than I think.
they were trapped in the old rib cages there.
Yes.
This guy needs like a red sunburst. Give this guy a guitar. Sorry, that's where my brain's at tonight for whatever reason. Yeah, these things are just amazing. It's a little bit of an offshoot of the skeleton thing, but the bones are there, and it's actually a different race, but it's it's amazing. There was just a couple more in that skeletons of like the older ones, because they definitely, that's the thing. I have Tibius. I think that's like the only skeleton. I got him pretty early on, and I wasn't sure, just sort of like, I really like the barbarian. I got the dwarf. I love those figures. I love the little goblin. And I wasn't sure if I needed skeletons for whatever reason in my brain. It just felt a little like, I don't know, a little bit almost like cliche. And then I got these things, and I was like, these are amazing. And I think Nolan was bringing it up, and Curtis was saying, yeah, these totally just bring me back to Jason the Argonauts, Harryhausen.
Yes.
Like,
as soon as I started seeing the skeletons, it's exactly where my mind goes. That iconic Harryhausen, Jason and the Argonauts fight. And just being able to have that with my toys is what?
Now, most of these that we're seeing right here, these are the the jaws are articulated, right? But there are ones where the jaws are open. I know I have some. I don't know if there's any here. Oh, right there.
Oh,
no,
there's Sean's boy.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of them actually, because I like Scapular and I like Keltis.
Oh, that's right.
And right
Well,
there,
Sean,
three of your big dollar figures, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
So this is a good few own alternatives there.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to have. What's the name of the one in the center?
Scapular, the Crypt Breaker.
Yeah, I mean, I can't go and
I
chase
like how
that
they use the
at
bone
all,
lanes with
but
those.
yeah,
Well, the cool thing is that one you could pretty easily make using a Sir Gerard and a Skeleton Legion builder. Really, you just got to find the right
yeah,
red,
'cause-
and you can because Sir Gerard, they did that production mess up where he got the scapular head in every figure instead of it just being the Legion's Con exclusive. So yeah, if you just have the shield, I mean, Jesse did a shield for mine recently, and it's gorgeous. But you could do a shield for him, and then just pop on the arms and the legs off of a Legion builder, and you pretty much have a scapular. Just
right.
if you paint it the right way. And then honestly, same with Keltis. I mean, Keltis is basically the Legion builder skeleton, just blue and purple. So, and with the barbarian feet, I should say. But no, that the fact Scapular for me is like he looks enough like Skeletor without needing a Skeletor homage. That I was like, I like him. He works. The Wave 1 in particular, I'm like, that is an iconic looking character to be mixed in. And then on top of that, then with Keltis, it's like, cool. So there's a Skeletor version too. I'm in, if I can get it. So,
well, and his story is really cool too.
Yeah, because he was a gladiator in the arena as well. And he was using dark magic to fight his opponents and things like that.
I meant Scapular.
What was that?
I meant Scapular.
Oh, Scapular.
Yeah.
Scapular's a bastard.
Well, he's not.
He's the leader of the Sons of the Red Star. So.
Yeah, so he's not part of the Necronominus.
No.
And he's just a greedy SOB.
Yeah. It's like, never have I expected to see skeletons that actually want gold. I mean, it almost has that feeling of like the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Because, they're cursed and they become skeletons in the moonlight and they still want all these things. They're still, they're pirates. So obviously they want to pillage. They want to take, bring treasure. And it's got that vibe to a T, just looking at that figure. And actually, if you get the comic book they put out, he plays a really pivotal. He's like one of the main characters in the comics. So you'll get a taste of who he is if you read that as well.
I will say I'm pretty sure I heard someone from the studio put a disclaimer that comic is no longer canon.
Well, then don't listen to me.
You can find it on the Cabal. If you go to the Cabal, there's somewhere they've got tabs and things. You can read the PDF there. It's still cool, but I wouldn't be surprised if the book that Jeremy and Eric and those guys are working on changes some of the stuff from that comic.
So telling a bit of a fibula, shall we say?
Oh my God.
He's here all week, people. Tip your waitresses.
Thank you, Sean.
Got a couple more. I think this might be the
I
last
love
one.
the 2.0 skeletons, the skeleton army builder, which is essentially the one in the two in the middle, like the one in the front and the one in the back middle is the same figure. Because the one's got the male, like the regular, like the upper part is the goblin torso, the lower part's the elf torso, but the one in the back's got the female torsos. I just really like the looks you can make with that set.
Yeah, they're great. I love that skeleton too. I use that skull for my my little space skull
nice.
guy.
I'm not gonna lie though, that picture makes it look like they're about to bust out some dance moves on stage.
Telling you, just give him a guitar or no, yeah. I mean, they start breakdancing.
Or bash a few craniums together.
So you're saying they're headbangers?
Stop.
Oh, I can feel my subscribers leaving the chat.
Surely not.
Not at all. Who wants to
Fun
miss
here.
Nostradamus Toys live?
Come on,
It's
we got to
better.
get down to the xiphoid process yet.
Oh,
It's been a rather humorous episode so far. Don't you?
considering it's supposed to be about death. Yeah.
Keeping it light. We're
Death
keeping it
and
light.
skeletons. The humorous bone
Yeah.
is not
I
so
love that they
funny.
made female skeletons. It's really cool. The red one, what's the does that a named character or?
That's the gold skeleton, right?
Yeah, that's the gold skeleton, I think. Let me look that up.
Yes, gold skeletons. Let me see here because I still have that. As a matter of fact, that was the last one I was on. It's a Legion builder. Doesn't include a bio, of course. But I mean, it's a skeleton that was dipped in gold.
Very cool.
We can definitely break some bones.
Well, if it's dipped in gold, then he's probably a bit more metal corp.
Let's get those last 3 subscribers out of here.
Started this episode with 124, and I suddenly have 15.
Good day, sir. I said good day.
Yeah, if you squint your eyes, that 2.0 skull almost looks like he's got sunglasses on. But yeah, kind of cool. Kind of cool. And I think that's the last pick of the skeleton. So, which really just kind of leaves us with the adjacent stuff like the Terpiculi from the Necronominus waves. And let's see.
Cool.
Actually, I'm curious. Let me see. Did I? Oops.
Well, because I
what did
mean,
do?
we even have an undead horse. Well, like a skeletal horse now with
That's
this
right.
wave.
That's right. I
you
didn't have that, but yes, I did put him in unknown, and there he is.
You spelled uncone wrong.
Yeah.
What is
It
this
sounds
guy
like
has
you have a bone to pick with each other.
this? How are you doing this, man? How are you doing this?
I'm rather pundit there, so puns.
What is this guy's? He's got a role to play in this this army or this.
This is Maxilius the Harvester, the one that does the classic Death Grim Reaper look, or just the bear skeleton. He
Personal favorite of the wave.
yeah, I love the detail on his back, those like bloody wings on his torso. But he what does he do? He goes along and he's like reaping the dead for Necronominus's return, so Necronominus can raise him with his scythe is called the God Raiser. This one's just I don't think it had a special name.
Yes, so he fleshes out the story, I think you say. Or lack thereof.
That's it. That's all 3 of them. They're gone.
No. You're negative now. What the heck?
How does that
These
even
people who don't want to
happen?
subscribe, they just keep unsubscribing.
So yeah, he is listed as his role being the herald of the congregation of Necronominus.
He's the
he's
Silver
Silver
Surfer.
Right.
Necronominus is
And his
Gallagher.
hourglass that you see is full of souls.
Yeah.
That little accessory is awesome. Just really cool.
I know. Oh my god. Everything about this guy is from the huge scythe that is not nearly as ornate as Necronominus's, but it's still like you look at it and that is like that's a Reaper scythe. Like completely. This thing was never once used for grain. No. And I love like he comes with a regular skull, and that's cool. That's fitting. But the one that we see here in the picture, where he's got like the fused eyes as well, it kind of just blows you away. Like, how does a skull close its eyes?
It doesn't have
might give you a
eyes.
bit of a
it
herniated
doesn't
disc
have
there.
it's blind. It's
Yeah. And he's...
Sorry, I wanted to see if I could get a little couple more views. Yeah.
Because like the pictures, that one picture is amazing, but it just does not do justice on the detail of this figure.
He said the thing.
Justice photo.
Like his ornate collar there, those are mandibles. Those are teeth.
Yeah.
Individually sculpted teeth to create this entire thing. And
the
you
jaw,
see,
like a horse jaw or something, jaw split in half, right?
Yeah. And you see again right there in the center of the chest is that baby troll skull. Like dead,
and whatever that crotch piece is.
Yeah, whatever
that's a skull.
That's something skull.
That's a skull from Cosmic Legions.
I was just going to say, he went into Cosmic and just said, okay, screw you, you're giving me something.
Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, this dude just looks like death. And
So, Sean, Jesse, you were at Legion's Con and got to see at least these versions in person, right? Do you know how is this all like one solid piece of plastic with the chain kind of going through and then just sort of painted, or
I didn't touch them. I touched the base he was on because he was the one I was up there for. But again, because these are the prototypes and they're all scaled slightly larger than the actual thing will be. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm assuming they will have some sort of, it'll probably be one piece of plastic, but I don't know.
Yeah, from the look of it, it looks all interconnected to me. But again, they basically told us not to touch because they're
of course.
They're spit and baling wire kind of keeping them together and all that stuff. But
I mean, it's all essentially 3D printed stuff, which is fine for your custom heads, but for a whole figure, very brittle.
Right.
I mean, just looking at all this
flanges with him.
I'm looking at all the detail here, like of these are just horns coming out of this, just like
just amazing.
Yeah.
And really, again,
what that is.
Yeah,
it almost looks like a pelvis or something.
Yeah.
They make him look a bit hip, I think.
A couple of scapulas fused together from the back.
Maybe. Can you get his back? Because I love that.
Do they show a back one without? Or just back with clothes on? You mean
right under the blue one? Yep.
Oh, look at those wings. Okay, sorry. Zoom.
Well, if it was anything like the Tuberculi, the detail in his back.
Look at that. Oh my God.
It's got like that halo look, and everything about this figure makes me physically uncomfortable. I love it.
Yeah, and it's like those are your bones, you would say.
Yeah, those are, I guess, like you said, they're blood feathers, but it feels there's something that feels like tissue about it. That creeps me out.
It just, if you ever watch the show Vikings, as soon as I turned that thing around and saw the back of it, it made me think of the blood eagle they do, which I know wasn't actual wings, but
yes, I just started that series there, Jesse. Yes.
The imagery is there completely for Blood Eagle, and anybody who knows what that actually is just one of the most god awful things anyone could have ever done to somebody. But
Floki,
Ragnar
Lothbrok, love it. Good stuff.
So my sister, of course, was asking about that being the final detail, and as we were saying, these are all painted up exceptionally well, and it's kind of what you call a paint master. And as Jesse was saying, they keep one for photography and such like this, so they can show people the representation of what's about to come, and they send one to the factories. The factories will do close to, but not exact. And when you read the little descriptions, they say may vary, final product may vary. It's not going to vary much, but it may not look exactly like this. And I mean, that also goes for things that don't look so great either, because we've all seen figures and digital renders that just don't look so good at first. And then when the final product comes out, they correct and alter things. I brought up Masters of the Universe earlier because that's my wheelhouse, and Mattel's terrible washes that they do. The original 40th anniversary He-Man, it looked beautiful, but when you looked at the detail of the wash on that prototype they showed off, it was horrendous. Completely horrendous.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that the final product we got didn't have that same terrible wash. So the detailing, I mean, with these figures, it's going to be pretty close to what we're seeing here, but it may not be exact.
Yeah, that's the trippy thing about these figures, is that there's a lot of paint head to toe on these things, except of course the Legion builders, which is it's amazing. You do got to be careful of like paint rub. I mean, this guy's just, I don't know if you can see much. I don't know what you can see on the screen right now, but you get paint rub now and then. This has just been sort of sitting on the floor. Probably that's just from moving around. But again, you get a level of detail, a visual detail, because they've put all that work into it. And again, for the life of me, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in one of these factories, because they're churning out like how many of these things, and they're all coming out. That's it's like when you look at, speaking of Masters of the Universe back in the day with the vintage, you see those paint masks, and it's like literally a mask and spray, moving on to the next one, spray, moving on to the next one. This is like,
well, I mean, that's why there are no two original Castle Grayskulls that are exactly alike.
Yeah.
And yet the consistency with which they produce these, and just like, Brick showing off the troll, where you see all those individually painted parts, and same thing here with Scaphoid. Like, the individual details in the armor, that's consistent with every single one of these figures. They have a very high standard that they are responsible for putting out.
Yes, sometimes in these toy lines there, you get the old QC issues, so a few fractures, if you will.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever I don't think I've ever seen a Mythic Legions figure that doesn't add up to what they've sent as a promo on Source Horseman or Thor Horseman. The only ones that I remember the only ones that kind of had me go, oh, that's different than what I expected, was the Deluxe Legion Builder wave. We saw those at the first Legions Con that Jesse and I went to, and we thought those were going to be more black, and they ended up being a little more gunmetal looking and gray and dark gray, versus it being like pitch black on the armor at times. But I don't like the running joke also is Trevor Williams. The pictures don't do the figures justice usually, and it's always the whole giving him crap about that. But it is like, depending on the lighting and depending on this and that. But for the most part, what you see is what you get on these figures. And I've never seen something not match up properly. Usually it exceeds the expectations once you have it in hand.
100% agreed.
Yeah. And I'll say this about the pictures he takes. And I mean, these are great. Like the black background stock photos are much better than they used to be.
Right.
I think because he wasn't doing them early in the wave or early in the line. But the shots, I mean, I agree they don't do the figures justice because they don't look like figures anymore.
Yeah.
Like that floating shot of the floating shot of Necronominus or Maxilius there in the forest.
Right here. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that almost looks like a still from a movie, and I think that's one of the things they talk about in why they don't do their double joints and some of the extra articulation is they have a certain aesthetic they want to keep and look to them. And
Agreed.
I'm all for that. Plus, if you've ever put on armor, and I've never done a full suit of armor, but my brother has done Society for Creative Enactment, SCA, like the reenactments where they go out and they do kind of like the Civil War reenactment, but like medieval battles. You're not running around like Spider-Man.
They get a bit thoracic there.
Yeah.
Theatrical.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like two-handed poses, like running around like a Jedi with a sword. That did not happen.
Right.
No. not in full armor like that.
If you've got the leather and the chainmail and then the plate, no, it's not happening.
Yeah.
But it's true as far as the the notion of the photos. Again, no diss to who was doing photos before, but the photos have definitely improved, especially as I was putting together the slides or when I was just sort of doing my own research, like when I was looking at those trolls. I'm a visual, like I like visuals, so like when I was trying to find, like, oh no, I don't got a good stone troll image, but they weren't as nearly as sort of captivating as some of these that are put together. But anyway, let me think where we left. We were at unknown. Okay, is there any other unknown characters? No, nothing related to this wave per se.
Did you do the horse?
I did not. Actually, I didn't, because
I will. Yeah. Well, actually, again, Brick, you've already got the store up with the wave. Yep. Why don't you go ahead and bring up the horse? Because, again, this was one of the first things that brought me to this wave.
Go.
Before, not that one.
I know. Before?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, my God.
This is my absolute favorite piece from this wave.
Yeah. That's the thing, like I don't know that I could say it's my favorite, but that's only because this wave is amazing in terms of what they decided to offer this time, and in terms of the tooling and
right.
But sorry, you were saying.
Oh, me?
Yeah, in terms of this being your favorite, what is it about this one? That
I love that they went full on skeletal, empty torso. Like I thought if they did it, it would just have like bone armor, or it would be, it would have something solid in the middle that the bones were around, just because like, how are they going to make this work? And I think they said, other than maybe a couple of pieces at the tack, the only other reused parts on this are the joints. Because I think I don't know if it's the whole saddle, but I think like the stirrup looks the same, but maybe it's different. But yeah, some parts of it, for the most part, it's a completely new piece, or figure wise at least. But yeah, I just love how gnarly this is, and the fact that it's a fully skeletal horse. It's got bones hanging off of it, like the armor on its face. It's just, I don't know. It's so different, and it's, not that you can't use this figure for other things, but some of this tooling we're probably never going to see again on other figures. So like, you were talking about how the photography has improved, and we were talking about how their 3D sculpting has improved over the years from the in-hand practical sculpting, and just to know that they can do this, and like that's how well they're doing and how well the line and the community is doing, that they can do something like this that, is going to have
Agreed. Like, I think, when these came out, when they announced these, again, that I was in this room watching on this TV behind me, and I was just kind of blown away that, in the beginning, I think one of the first things was the Terpicula. And I was like, wow, that thing looks like nothing that they've ever released. And so, after that, I'm kind of like, well, I guess, you got to save money, and they're probably going to do like standard, maybe a skull head or something on an existing body. And then it just kept coming and coming. And then we got to the horse, which, a lot of people were kind of talking about, like, no, that's not going to happen. It's too expensive. then on the other, on the other hand, there's that back of the mind kind of thing of like, well, this is the fourth horseman that they're revealing. He's got to have a horse. So people were saying, well, maybe they'll do like the horse head that's kind of a skeleton, skull. And I think I had that in my head. Like, okay, whatever, that's what we're gonna get. And then they showed this thing. I'm just like, whoa. Yeah, they're not resting on their laurels for sure. They're not, and if this is how they run this line, I want people to understand, like, this is a great toy line, a great company. Like, I don't know. No, it sounds super fanboy, but it's just mind blowing.
And again, look at that price.
Oh yeah, $65
on the pre-order. That thing is $65.
Yeah,
right. As opposed to, what people on the secondary market are going to charge is minimal double.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
This is a boar that I love. I love the detail on this boar. It's an amazing piece. It was not $65.
Right.
And you didn't have the option to buy it directly from them before, so
right.
Knowing this is going to get marked up on Big Bad or the
right.
other things, like, that's standard, because like I think they pay pretty close to what we pay for these. I don't quote me on that.
If they do get a discount, it's not by much, because again, the way these are being sold, it's direct to consumer more or less. You're not buying these on a shelf in a big box store. You can't. You're only going to get them from select boutique retailers, because not even everybody's going to be an authorized dealer to order large quantities. And they're going to end up paying what we're paying, because they're not producing 100,000 units or more. You're getting maybe 50,000 or so.
Yeah. And the fact that, so we were looking at the $37 figures on Big Bad or some of the other stores, they're going to be $45 to $50. So
right.
That's like not even a $10 to $12 markup for those business. And that's, like, everybody's money's tight for everybody. I definitely understand that. Buy what you can. You don't have to go all in. You don't have to go nuts. Like,
nope.
You have different ways to get this. If you're on the East Coast, there's shows you can get to. I know Walter was teasing about something on the West Coast coming up. Some sort of announcement.
Saw that.
So they're definitely trying to get stuff to more people, even if they can't take their studio out there to it. So,
right.
I just think, what Marvel Legend right now or other line that you spend $65 on is going to give you what this horse gives you? And granted, the horse is very specific. There's not a lot of options, but even like the suit Uksak or Necronominus himself,
Well, again, let's just go to a more boutique brand, because again, Four Horsemen are not on the same level as Hasbro. So it's a bit of a different, and everybody has no idea what's going on with Hasbro in their mind right now as to why they're charging the amount that they are for their toys. But let's talk about Super 7, because they're comparable-ish, I would say, in product that they're putting out, and kind of that realm of, okay, here's a boutique brand that's not on the same level as Hasbro. They're a little bit more close to that, because again, you are finding their product at big box stores in retail now. Like, not so much big box retail, more like, because they're not NECA, but you're still finding them FYE, right? FYE is a good choice.
Who did you say? I'm sorry, I missed who you said.
Super 7.
Super 7. Sorry.
Yeah, not they're like around this level, and they're charging you $55 for Snarf.
Yeah.
Snarf.
Again, he's to help offset two of the larger characters that are coming out in that way. But even then, like, you're paying close to $55, $60 for like a Lion-O or something like that. And even Mum-Ra. Well, Mum-Ra is a bit more. He's closer to the $70 price tag for his figures. But when I look at those review videos and I look at the paint apps on them versus I'm looking at these paint apps on the Mythic Legions right in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not close. It's really not. You know, it's much better detail when it comes to Legions.
Well, the thing about this for me, every time it's like, okay, for instance, for me, it's Masters versus Mythics in a sense. You know, like when I first discovered Mythics, I was really heavy into getting Classics. And, you know, it's like they don't pair exactly the same. So there is this feeling of this figure belongs to something else if you have the skeletons or the demons or whatever with a Classics figure. But I mean, you know, I've said it before, I'll say it again, you know, like what Mattel is putting out. Yes, the price point is good for the people who really love the nostalgia of Masters. And I get that. But when I see this and I hear people complaining about the price of Mythics, it's like, here's an idea. Stop getting a few of those toys that you're so rabidly wanting only for the nostalgia and get into something that you're going to appreciate in a whole nother way. And it brings a whole nother love of the collecting idea to you, and you can appreciate it on that level versus you have to say, I mean, what? That's literally 3 Masterverse figures you don't buy. And you can get that horse. I'd rather not buy 3 Masterverse figures and buy that horse than have something on my shelf going, damn, that's amazing. And I got it for $65, you know? And I mean, that's the other thing too, that I want to bring up is anybody who is so fixated on how to get into the line. And we're doing this tonight for that reason. It's the whole look at the prices of these. And the other thing too, and I was not there at the beginning of the line, but I found out about the line around 2016, 2017, right after the first Kickstarter and all that stuff. But if you compare this to what you got when you first got on the Kickstarter, if you were part of that, you're seeing stuff that could not be done until now. And so there's a specialness about this wave in particular with what they've gotten to do in the tooling budget that they're throwing at this wave, that it was like a pipe dream 5 years ago. These are like this wave in particular is these are the myths and legends that people hoped would show up in the line one day. And now we have them. And the thing that gets me is like, here's all this stuff that it feels so much more special than getting like the 1.0 stuff. So if you're so worried about the original wave, focus on here, because here you got a 2.0 version of Sir Gideon. You've got the freaking God of Death on his horse of all things. And you have all these faceplate changes with the skeletons. You have knights, you have skeletons, you got tuberculi and tuberculosis, whatever. And all this stuff. And to me, it's like even
sorry, I'm feeling busy now.
Arethyr a few years ago, when he was released, he was one of the ones where I'm like, I'm going to get into this line whether I want to or not, because that figure and the horse are amazing, Aethon. But then you see this, and this is just like, who's Arethyr? Why do I give a damn about that figure anymore when this and Poxus, from like a sheer detail and paint app perspective, blow both Arethyr and Alithia to me out of the water completely. Like, this is the kind of stuff I've always wanted to see in this line, and now we're getting it. It's like, I'm actually pumped for G-Con even more this year, going, what else are we getting that's going to be like making me drool like this does right now?
Right.
100%, Sean. Like I'm thinking, thinking back to, you mentioned that we're getting things now that they couldn't technically or technologically accomplish back then. I just want to name that, like, they still don't have to do that, but they do. Right. They're like, well, sure, we can do XYZ. It could be really expensive. It's going to take a lot of time. We could, just reuse some of our parts, do some, different colorways. But no, they're just like, nope, let's go. I mean, they had skeletons, right? Like that's the other thing too, but they're not, which I think is such a great yeah, it's really great to think about how they do business and how they love what they're doing. They know we love what they're doing. It's really cool, and they just keep feeding us. Versus, some of the other lines, particularly the big, huge sort of companies. I don't know, like, to go back a little bit. I was looking at here, right? And you're like,
oh gosh,
yeah,
$50. You get 2 characters, right? 2 things. Well, actually not more, but you've got her. Then you've got these like creatures, right? Here we are with the critters again. She's got that, skeleton bird on her arm. There's something in the cage. I forget what.
the snake.
A snake in the cage. Then there's this chimera kind of like skeleton thing, right? And they made this big deal to really spell out, like, if the horseman and Jeremy, when they're explaining this character, and particularly this little beastie here, that no, we need you to understand there's limited articulation, there's only so much that we can do, but still there are parts in this that move, right? So they're like, okay, just it's really the one figure articulated, and you've got this thing, $50. And then I'm at Target the other day, $50 for this 2-pack. And I keep repeating this because I think it was Robo is perfect on Fu. She's like, yeah, I mean, these characters are essentially traffic cones, because like from the waist down, like Dungeon Master has legs, but they're not articulated. They just sort of is a statue with movable arms, and the head kind of shimmies here and there. And again, but now we're talking on the scale of, right? Like, how many are they making of these things? And still they're saying, no, it's $50 for these 2 things.
Right.
And, I don't know. So to go back to the point prior to this, is that Hasbro can do a whole lot. They have the technology, they have access to technology. They can, they can keep pushing. And we see that in some of their lines. I feel like the G.I. Joe classified lines keeps like stepping it up. But other times it's just kind of like, no, that's a figure, sell it. And then you've got this company. And again, there's a different level of investment, right? This is their baby. They've built this lore. They're seeing, like, they're, as you said, they're filling out the larger kind of like key parts of the lore with these last 2 waves, especially. You mentioned Poxus. Like, I was around to kind of see those. I have those on pre-order, but we haven't seen those yet. We've just had Alithia, and those are great, but that's kind of this interesting transition. But then in that wave, we've got like insect people and all these kinds of just like, again, creatures and body types and figure types that we didn't see prior. And then this just this was just like, no, let's keep going. So anyways, the idea is, as you said, if you're going to get in, or even if you're just going to get a couple, like, don't do the whole looking back thing. I've shamefully done it for a couple of things for XYZ reason.
Well, and I'll be honest, there's some that are worth looking back at, because there's some that you might not ever get again. Like, my favorite will always be Rhaegor. You're not going to get him again. So if you can go back and get him for a decent price, there you go. Adamon, Keltis, those some of the Unkin and all those. The very first of the Motu homage, or the tribute, or PowerCon tribute, whatever the term is, because I never can say it properly. But those are once and done. So I get the whole, if you came into it for the Motu, that is going to be something you're going to have as grails going down the road. I get that. But, if you're just getting into this line, I mean, there's no bigger bad guy, in my opinion, than death itself. And the way that they represent him is great. The Maxilius, the Harvester, is definitely in my top 3 of this wave, because it's so, like, everybody was like, oh, it'll be like a Grim Reaper. And it's like, then they show you this, and it's like, holy crap, it's a Grim Reaper. And then you see Necronominus, and you're like, oh, like, they're doing that vibe, but it works individually with both of those figures.
I agree.
Stuff. And
Yep.
Again, it's like if you look at some of the 1.0s, that is a common complaint from people that aren't staying into it is, oh, well, they just reuse parts constantly or whatever. They're reusing them and doing creative things with the reuse of it. And if you grew up with anything like Ninja Turtles, Masters of the Universe, same thing. It's not really that different, you know. Toy companies do that. But when you see this wave in particular is like, book, meet window. Let's just do it. Let's go for it. And this to me is that wave where it's like, it gets me more excited to see what's going to happen after this and after that and after that, because they didn't have to step it up. They already were doing really well, but this one was just like, we're going to do it. They challenge ourselves. It's not like we're in competition anymore with anybody, you know?
Right. Right. They've gone off. They're doing their own thing. And shared parts can only get you so far. And they know that. I mean, again, they worked with, the Four Horsemen have been around for quite a while, since the 90s with McFarlane and Spawn. So they know what it's like when you're doing individual tooling for every single figure, for every single thing.
Yep.
Very, very little, even in most of, well, actually, I think now he probably uses more shared parts than he ever did before with his toys. But, back in the 90s, like no two spawns even looked alike.
Yeah.
When you had this spawn versus that spawn, they were completely different tooling. So they definitely know what it's like when you're going full board, new tooling, every figure, every wave.
Yeah.
And they realize you can cut a lot of the cost back if you reuse, which is probably one of the reasons why, and again, I'm just coming into this now. Sean, you've probably been around it quite a bit longer. And Jesse, I know you came in just about last year or so. So I'm not sure how the pricing has gone up since the initial waves and Kickstarters have happened. But to me, it seems like from what I've seen people say, it's stayed consistent.
As far as I wasn't in on the Kickstarters to start the line, but they have done everything they can to not have to pass the cost on to the collectors when costs go up. And I think last year and this year were some of the times where they're like, we had to raise the price a little, and then basically it's only like $1 or $2 more a figure.
Sure.
They're not really making us. It's not like Hasbro where a Marvel Legend now is going to cost you almost $30.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, 37 versus 35, maybe the previous wave.
Cost you a bit of an arm and a leg there.
Yeah, and the other thing too, real quick, is this wave to me is also like they're seeing the community and going, we know what you guys are going to enjoy, and they're really building that into this wave with a lot of these figures, especially that the deluxe Ghost Ghoul set that they're doing down there on the at the bottom. It's like that's a perfect pop and swap, you know.
Yes.
And so it's like they're really, they want people to do that, but they're really playing into it more with this wave than previous ones, as far as I can tell. And again, that's a love of the fans. So.
Right. But again, even with that being said, you know what? They're finally passing that rising cost on to consumer when they have no choice. Because what's happened in the last year, the cost of materials went up. So they kind of don't have an option to hold back. But by using so many shared parts over the years and introducing a couple of newly tooled pieces here and there, you keep your costs down. And now here we're talking about a wave with a lot of exclusive new tooling. The price on that should be insanely high.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's still relatively affordable. And I mean, for some people, it's just not within the price range at all. And I totally get that, because you got to collect on a budget here and there.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot you can do about that. And I get it. But for people who have wanted to and have been scared to get into this because of the secondary market, it's, this is the way you do it. And that brings me back to a statement that Curtis made here earlier, where, again, he was saying that the reason people complain about the cost of getting into Mythics is because your average toy collector doesn't know about their pre-order windows. And that's why a show like this is important. And we're definitely going to keep doing the class, and we're going to keep talking about it. Of course, after tomorrow, who knows when that next pre-order is going to go up. But in Mythics class, we're going to go over the past, and we're going to keep bringing you news. As well as, again, if you follow Jesse and his YouTube channel, he's definitely going to be bringing you news. Brick's in on this as well. Follow Brick. He's got a new news segment that's going to be coming out soon. And he's going to definitely keep you posted on that as well. So there's going to be a lot of channels talking about this as we keep rolling forward and we keep diving in more into this.
So there's no reason to get all disjointed when you have this news about it.
I'm going to have to go through and comb every part of this video and make so many clips of Eldor's quips. And I'm going to title that a video.
I don't know. So I might feel a bit dislocated there.
And Thanos Copter's agreeing with him, and I'm glad that, we've helped you see this, because to be honest, when I first talked to Sean and, he was able to help me out get the Headless Horseman, and I got that thing in hand, I was like, I need to know more what's going on, because I wasn't aware of these pre-order windows. And that's why we called this whole thing the class, because I'm the same as a lot of you guys in the chat who are watching this. I'm new to Mythic Legions. I'm new to all of this. I'm learning as we go. Eldor wanted in on this because he is new and was interested. Brick was dabbling. He was dancing around in it. He's dipping his toes in, getting them a little wet. Now he's about, chest deep.
Chest deep in trolls.
Chest deep in trolls, because they're just stacking on top of one another.
It's trolls.
It's funny. I went back and looked at, old orders. And the very first thing I got in on was January 2022, the in-stock sale, actually. I tried before and I was like, nah, I was exercising self-control, I guess. But then came January, they did the in-stock sale. I was like, well, I'll try it out. I had no idea if it was going to be one of those things where like it instantly sells out or not. And it wasn't. I ended up ordering a goblin and a dwarf builders. Came in a couple weeks, because that's how those work.
Yeah,
and those were less than 30, I think, each. And I mean, and those are my first, right? And I'm glad they were, because those are less deco, right? They're fairly flat, and still I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing, look at this detail. So then everything else just kept ratcheting up from there. I was like, oh well, what's on Big Bad Toy Store? Okay, let me get some skeletons.
I gotta blow Sean up as he's rocking it. That's it, right? I mean, there.
That's not even like, I didn't get that. That is like, on mine was the dwarf, right? The full on just gray steel, whatever. And that thing is like supposedly a builder, but it's got so much, and it's like so many accessories and everything that came with it. It's crazy.
Well, it's more of a deluxe because of the options. But the thing that got me was when I got into the line, I was looking for that one, because when I went on Source Horseman, I'm like, wait a minute, who is this? Like, how do I get this guy? If you go on eBay, and here's the thing, prices, I couldn't find one for less than $200. And, literally like the next year, boom, there's the pre-order, the in-stock, like you were saying, stuff. And it's like, all of a sudden I could get them for $65. Boom, right there. So, and if you go to conventions, and if the horsemen are there, usually you can get them for around those prices. Or if you know someone going to it and they're willing to do it for you, there you go. I mean, one way or the other, you can make it work. But no, like that was I went nuts on those at that pre-order because I was like, I was tracking these down last summer. I need 3 of these at least.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, that one in particular, I was at a toy show down in Lancaster, like late November, early December 2021. And I had just gone to Legion's Con with Sean and, was really getting into it. And nobody had anything at this toy show. And I found one guy had that deluxe barbarian pack that Sean just showed. And I want to say he had it for like 110, 120, something like that, which I texted Sean. I was like, hey, is that a good price? And he was like, yeah, but those are going to be coming out in the reinforcement wave sometime, next year. I was like, oh, okay. So, I mean, I feel bad for that guy because I didn't buy it, but I'm sure someone else did. But, it's the same thing. The very first figure I got was Thistlethorn. He was the one that got me into the line. He was on Big Bad Toy Store. By the time I went to pull the trigger on him, they were gone. And
we were looking at him at the same time, buddy, because I had the same experience.
It was like March 2021. So I was like, well, I really want him. I'm not going to be getting deep in this line. He was green. I was, I had a plunderling, a green plunderling. So I was going to get a couple like random green things from, like you were saying, the boutique, the smaller, the companies. And I was like, well, I got to get him. And I didn't know about all the other places. I didn't know anything about the line. I didn't know anything about the company. Didn't know anything about the community. So I got on eBay, got one it was double the price. It was $100.
Yeah.
I'm done doing that. I did that with some because there were certain characters I wanted to get because like the bio stories and stuff, they were connected. But now I'm not looking back. I'm looking forward. Unless someone's doing a trade or, put something in the cabal, I'm not actively looking for old stuff anymore. It's just, and I totally went on a tangent there. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, the price, you had a comment up someone about not complaining about them once they get them in hand.
I was going to say, getting back into the chat here a little bit, Highly Articulated said, I don't hear anyone complaining or any people complaining once they get these figures in hand. Usually they're asking how to get more, which again, that is exactly what this class is for. We're trying to get people to realize like there are different ways. Cause like, again, you can go right now on the Big Bad Toy Store. You can look at Mythic Legions, the previous wave, which had come out, which was Poxus, I believe. That's the one that's already available. You can still pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store what they're expecting to get. Xylona's Flock. Did I pronounce that one right as well? I'm still trying to learn the pronunciations of the names.
Xylona's Flock,
right,
yep.
Xylona's Flock. So you can still pre-order a lot of those. And again, they're not as cheap as what you're looking at through the direct pre-orders from Four Horsemen now. But you can still get these figures available now for not outrageous cost. These are all ways that you can get them now. Like these guys, well, I mean, of course, you can see right there it says, or I'm looking at my screen, which, mind you, that's Thistlethorn, right, Jesse?
Yes.
But that's the Stinkor version, which I love.
Right.
Because Stinkor is one of my all-time favorite characters.
Slightly
so the fact
different
that
stuff, but yeah.
he's still on there is kind of
Thistlethorn is cool. That brown, he's got this beautiful brown coloring. It's
Go on to one of the ones that's pre-orderable, Brick. Any of them,
like these right here. Xylonas.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is I think what you're hitting on. What were you going to say about them?
Well, click on it real quick.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. When you look at it, it shows right there at the top. This is going to be third quarter for next year. Well, this year.
No,
sorry,
this year.
Sorry, we're in 2023 now. I'm still
waiting for mine. Yep.
Yeah,
so
I put my one in.
These are coming out later this year, and you can still pre-order them. They're a bit more than what you would have been paying for on or from store horseman, but you're getting it well. And that brings me to Highly Articulated's next comment.
Actually, before we hit the international thing, so just to put a nail, like this would have been a 37 if we're using the same price or a little cheaper at the time, just to give you a sense.
I
And
think
now you're
about
paying
70 for me there, though.
Yeah, so you're doing $50 now,
something like that. Yeah,
through to pre-order through Big Bad. And then if we take a look at one of, same for these guys, right? It would have been the same thing.
Yeah.
But with BPTS, though, they give you about 89 days or so to pay the shipping, so it's not too bad.
Right, and you can gang
and because
them
it's
together.
near the end of the year, you have time to save.
Actually,
but,
Eldor, I was going to have you chime in a bit in that
yes.
in a moment or two here. Brick, go ahead and continue, sir.
No, that was it. I just kind of wanted to show you concretely, like this is what you'd be getting these figures, paying $15 essentially more. And again, that's not shipping and tax, which we should get into, because everything that we're talking about is fairly U.S. centric, which is which is a thing that happens. Go ahead.
Let's go here then to. Oh wait, wrong one again. It's this one here. 4 Horsemen pre-orders aren't of any benefit for buyers outside of the U.S. Shipping costs plus import duties and fees cancel out the lower pricing. But I will say I kind of almost disagree there, because again, you're still getting that more baser discount than if you were to pay Big Bad Toy Store's markup, $37 for Maxilius versus what could potentially be $50 if Big Bad Toy Store doesn't do a price hike on this.
Right.
And then add on shipping costs, import duties, and fees. You're still getting a baser price.
I got you, Adam. So that's Adam is so in Canada it's a little bit different, right? And it can work out to be a better deal if you were to wait for someone like, say, E-Collectibles. They handle all, bringing everything in, and then you're ordering from them, and with their prices, it works out for folks in Canada, right? And so that's definitely something to name, that you're going to have to kind of do your research depending on your location and figure out what the best deal is. And of course, this is just one retailer of many in that market, but you'd have to take a look. And I'll say, even for me being on the West Coast, it's a little bit different, right? As you've mentioned, hopefully, I'm waiting to hear more about the potential of some stuff happening here on the West Coast for shows, because that's going to be huge. But even with that, I think I'm paying $50-some on. I'm basically paying $100, 50 some in tax and 50 some in shipping on a fairly sizable, not all in. I'm getting essentially like 12 pieces, including like the horse and the rider. Actually, I think 11 actual sort of figures and then 2 hand sets. So I kind of like divided up the pieces, and the figures still work out to be, with all that said, about $55 each. And again, some of those are ogres and some of them are your standard 37. If I look at what's happening at Big Bad, it's going to cost me still more than that. So, but anyway.
Right. And now, Eldor, you're, all the way in Eternia. So, I mean, you get affected most with the shipping costs, definitely. As well as just the exchange rate, too, is vastly different. And I mean, even in Canada, the exchange rate is vastly different than what it is down here, too. For something that costs us $21.99 on one of our store shelves here, in Canada, it's closer to 40. And
yes, 40, 50.
Yeah. Eldor, how about things in Eternia and your local market there?
Well, yes, as I sort of briefly mumbled through there before, it's usually the 49ers there about, I know, 70 or 80 or something. And then as you get onto the horses around the 70 mark, you're about 120 in, and what have you. Usually it's easier for me with those payment plans. We have one here called Afterpay, which you can use in Australia as well. I think lets you split it into 4 equal or so payments
Sure.
over every fortnight or so. So it does lighten the load a little bit, but yes, with websites like the Four Horsemen, there you usually have to pay up front with the pre-orders and including the postage there. So sometimes BBTS is easier with the postage because you can pay for your figure, and then you've got the 80 or so days to pay the postage before it has to be shipped out and so forth. But there's so many ins and outs. What's easier for some and what isn't for others. But yes, coming out all the way over here, the posties seem to, traverse all the black holes and asteroid fields and such.
What are some of the retailers that you would recommend, Eldor, like for someone, say maybe somewhere here on Earth, like say New Zealand? What would be some of the avenues to get some of these, like say the Necronominus wave in particular? Like,
well, we're not getting any of the Mythic Legions figures out this way. The only ones I've been able to find were those collectors that had decided to part with their figures, and they sell them on the Trade Me, which is similar to your Evil Bay there. So that's how I got all my figures, really. A few
Trade
of them had free postage on them, so I didn't have to pay postage there. But the dwarf figure that I got, but that was about $8 attorney and postage there. It didn't hurt me that much. But yes, we have a couple of smaller collectible online people. That is one I go to called Freyaware, based on a bit of a Norse mythology of Vikings, and he has postage by the Bifrost. Yes, I get a lot of my Masterverse figures off him that you don't see in the big chain stores. Usually they're just getting in Merman and Tila and Skelligod and one or two others, maybe Fisto. He lingers about a wee bit. But on this one, he's had Roboto and She-Ra and Zodak and that fellow there. He's just come out in Masterverse. But no, otherwise, there doesn't seem to be anybody bringing in Mythic Legions. I think possibly because of that increased costs with the currency conversion and what have you. It would they would put their markups, you see, just like the Big Bad Toy Store, and you'd be well into the hundreds. See, I paid, 95 for that dwarf figure, and $250 for Father Christmas. He was on the old Trade Me too.
Well, Eldor, what that says to me is you need to go into business. You need to be the official Four Horsemen retailer of Eternia. That's what I heard. I suppose. You're gonna have to, Jesse. You'll have to put Eldor in touch with Cornboy and get this set up.
What's a corn boy? The other thing, to go back a little bit, you were saying the Masters of the Universe sort of homage or tribute figures or whatever they are definitely ones that you might want to go back to, as a sort of argument for, like, there are some pieces out there worth going back to. I also just kind of want to name, though, in this case, it's staring. If you are looking for a particular character, for example, and you're looking for Gideon, right? Gideon Heavensbrand, this is the sort of second version. Ooh, let me see if I can pull up the first version. And I mean, and again, they're all great figures, but they are going back to give us the sort of like second version or an alternate version of some key characters. For those of you that are really like, I want key characters. But just again, this is one of those things where it's a knight, but there are things on this guy's armor and his weapons.
Yes.
And of course the soft goods that are just like, I'm not a night person. This is the one night I got just because I'm really this thing,
Well,
you
the
know,
sword,
the
the
soft
pauldron.
goods. I want to study the soft goods and kind of figure out what's going on. And just gold in general between this and the 2 figures that are coming for the video game. I'm into this gold armor.
And those wings on the helmet too. Like, you know.
So just the notion that newer things come and you can pick them up for the $37 price point, you know, and these are larger collector issues that we have to kind of collector psychology, right? That we have to wrap our heads around. But, you know, you said it earlier. It's like, well, what if you were maybe not to buy 2 or 3 of these figures that you are buying and instead invest in one of these? And, you know, again, everyone's got their nostalgia, but or their loves, but but you're right. As far as financially, I just want to name like financially and what you're getting for them. It'll spoil you. It spoiled me for sure. Like, you know, same with Masterverse. I love Masterverse, but because of this crazy purchase that I just did for these guys, I'm like, there's a whole wave right now that I'm just like, I'm just like, no, I'm gonna have to wait on those and just and the thing is with mass retail, like we see it, I'll wait a little bit, and those it's highly likely those will go on sale.
Yeah.
Sadly, that's not quite gonna happen.
It doesn't happen
ever
with Legion.
With these.
I'd say if you go in on a Mythic Legion, don't quote me on this, but if you go in on these, you're going to at least get what you paid back usually if you try to sell them. And you know, once the wave's done, there's a pretty good chance you could do your own markup like Big Bad Toy Store or even higher than that. And there's a pretty good chance people are still going to pay for it if they weren't able to get it the first time.
That's right.
And if they see hey, he listed such and such, I'm gonna get it now. It's free shipping at least or whatever. And you know, I know him. I've dealt with him before, and good seller kind of a thing or whatever. And I mean that again, like this figure in particular, like I'm not into knights either. The knights it's like give me my barbarians and stuff.
Yes.
But this is such a unique and distinct figure that I need to put that figure on my shelf eventually because I do enjoy the unique looking ones. Like Templars, they all look the same. They don't do much for me. This is like a Mythic Legions knight. This is how I want to see more Mythic Legions knights going forward, where there is more of like when you look at that, it's very much Mythic Legions. There's no other way of looking at that versus making a Templar look like a Templar knight in historical context or whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
And they do look rather good there if you get the old animal heads and so forth and pop those on if you're doing custom animal heads or be good if you got one in, say, a helmet or something, a bit of a mouse or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So my sister, of course, was asking about, and again, she's newer into the collecting community, but I'm pretty sure 4 Horsemen quarter is just what we all, it's business.
It's quarters of the year, not fiscal quarters. Yeah.
Right. Exactly, which we're looking at, you know, again with Big Bad Toy Store saying 3rd quarter 2023, you're looking at fall of 2023.
And that's usually an estimate. That's not, sometimes that's not like on the nose with their estimate either.
With Big Bad, you can, at least for Mythic Legions, you can't go by what Big Bad has listed.
Right.
Because that's old information. If you want to know what's going on with shipping for 4 Horsemen, you got to go to Source Horsemen. They keep update there. So what happens is even if Big Bad has their stuff before the 4 Horsemen warehouse in New Jersey has it, there's a street date. They can't sell it until the studio gets their stuff out to the pre-orders for like this stuff.
Yes.
And then they won't take this stuff to shows until the street date hits and the retailers get to start shipping their stuff out.
That's right, because otherwise it cheats the retailers.
They take care of the pre-orders to the regular customers first, then the retailers, and then they do themselves. So like you know, Big Bad will update their stuff. I've had nothing ever come in on time with Big Bad, Horseman or otherwise. So
true.
Unless
for
it's available
folks
already.
unless it's in stock, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So for folks that are coming in new, if you're ordering from these places, just remember, and this isn't meant to be a lecture or anything, just remember that their sites are they're not just doing the Mythic Legion, so they update whenever they get new information from the studio. So they probably don't have new information on when the Poxus wave is going to arrive yet.
Right.
Because they don't even have a set date on the Horseman page anymore for Poxus.
Right.
You know, and we're getting ready to hit Chinese New Year. So somewhere in the next week, if
Yes.
stuff isn't shipping out, it's going to be 2 to 3 weeks before stuff starts shipping again. So,
yep. So, and again, my sister's asking February. And yeah, when they say Q1, you're looking anywhere between January to March. And again,
that
it's expected.
And that, you, at least on the Horseman page, that's usually when they expect it to ship from the factory.
Right. Right.
Like,
which could be a while before we still get it.
Yeah, it takes anywhere from, 4 to 8 weeks, depending on traffic on the ocean and blockages and stuff. Then it has to get through the port because it comes all the way around to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right.
There's people who I know. There's one collector in particular in the Cabal who he'll still be like, "Where are my orcs from the video game tie-in?" And it's like, if you would just look up the stuff on Source Firstman, you'd understand. Like, literally, that just got into the shipping trucks this week. Like, we just got an update in the last few days letting us know, oh, they're going to be on the water coming to us pretty soon. That's great. But then there's all these people, well, I put in a pre-order. It's like, you put in the pre-order, but they were still working on these things. It's a little opposite of how the big, like, Hasbro and Mattel do it, because, you know,
right.
But even Hasbro has been doing a year out for a pre-order now, almost like how the Horsemen are doing it.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, we'll get it to you eventually, but we're gonna put that little buffer there just to be on the safe side. So
yep.
We're gonna make sure
I've seen
we're
a few.
Eldor, go ahead.
Oh, yes, I've seen a few with Wondar there. They got a bit confused with the made to order. You see, there was going to be out around, I think, June or July, something this year. A few people were confused. I still haven't got my Wondar yet. And we're like, oh, no, because that's a made to order there, sir. So you have to wait a little bit longer.
Right.
I mean, and that's essentially what Legions are. Is made to order. So the pre-order for us ends tomorrow. And then I don't know how many weeks the retailers have to order. They've obviously known what's coming since November, like the rest of us. So I'm sure most of them, they probably have a shorter window. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Right.
Once that order is in, the studio, they know what they want for their tables and shows and warehouse stuff. Then it goes into production. Or, you know, I mean, it's already in pre-production stages because the tooling and all that stuff. But like, so if you ordered November 5th or 4th or whenever these things went up, yeah, you've been waiting 2 months, but they haven't even released this stuff to the factory to actually start making the production runs yet. So it's less than a year from the close of the actual order through the studio.
Right.
And sometimes stuff happens, especially, you know, COVID slowed everything up internationally.
Sure did. Sure did.
Like you were saying, materials have been hard. Like even where I work in my full-time job, some of the stuff for glass and molding for the custom frames we do has been in short supply. So stuff has been taking a lot longer for our customers. So, you know, and at the end of the day, as much as I love this stuff, it's toys.
Yep.
And as important as toys are, the community and the connection with you guys and the other guys and gals and other folks in the, you know, that community and customizing and all that stuff to me is more important than, I mean, yes, I want the new stuff. I want to go all in, 3 all-ins on everything, but you know,
oh my God. Yeah.
You know, it's just, they're toys. And,
that's right.
You know, sorry, I'm getting preachy.
Well, the other,
it's okay, Jesse. It's it's
the
fine.
other thing too to back that up is, I mean, just recently they said that they had to stall Cosmic because of the tooling and everything. But then if you got in on All Stars 5 Plus, that's going to be hitting early now. So it's like sometimes these production things just, yeah, they might take a little longer with one, but you got another one coming out, and that's the beauty of they've built this now into it's more of a machine now than it ever was, where there's at least one thing in the pipeline getting to you sooner or later if another one can't get there faster. And even like Figure Obscura now and all that, it's like here's stuff that we didn't even know was coming, and boom, here it is. You have 48 hours or cry all that you want. There you go, you know.
And I wanted to go ahead and just sort of show this. I was kind of showing it as we were talking about, you know, production and everything. At the bottom of Store Horseman, there was this link in terms of this information about production status, and you click here for production updates. And so this is actually sort of what's in play at the moment in chronological order from when they were sort of revealed, and then they give you your updates, right? So I was earlier showing some of the stuff from the video game, and that was from here. And so in a perfect world, they'd be, you know, sort of revealed and then ship in the same order, but that's just not how it works, especially when you're dealing with other, you know, parties, like in this case, the Krampus Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, right? So anyway, you can check the site. They update it as often as they can, and definitely the social media stuff, people chatter quicker, things get around. But this is what you were just referring to. Like, this is something that we were expecting sooner, but now it's actually going to be coming after this wave.
Yeah.
Yes, I pre-ordered the green male orc there from the Tactics game on BPTS, but I see he's sold out now, but I don't even remember pre-ordering it, and yet there he is on my pre-order pile.
Yeah. So just, you know, I think it's helpful to see. I think the other things for me that was helpful to kind of figure out was, you know, you've got your main waves like we're talking right now with Necronominus. Cosmic Legion is a whole other world, brand new toy line for them. But you've got your waves, like your Poxus wave, right? Or the Necronominus wave. And then you've got, of course, Figure Obscura is now in the mix, but then you have these things called All-Stars. And Curtis mentioned, like, hey, you know, you might want to mention how All-Stars work, because that's another opportunity to get some of the older characters. Yeah. Go for it.
Here it
Teed up then.
There it is. So, might want to discuss All-Star Waves 2, another way to get older, desirable figures. And you know, that's exactly it. Those all-star waves are a really, really great way to start picking up some of the older stuff, because I've been checking them out. Unfortunately, right now, not able to, but that doesn't mean, you know, it's available for people. You know, there are ways to go back and do that. And again, talking about Big Bad Toy Store right now, you go in, type in Mythic Legions. You got a couple pages before you start hitting that sold out stuff. And some of it's really not that bad overall. Like, again, if I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm comparing it to other stuff that's on the table right now, you know, maybe. But yeah.
Well,
again,
the All-Stars, like, I mean, Scathvoid would have been one that you would be paying probably $200. And he came out not too long ago, and you got him for $40, you know, or 35, or if you got him through the Horseman or whatever. And it's like, you know, Romulus in this, and Azahar in this All-Star wave, both of those were going for over $200 a pop. But then you could get them for, you know, 40 a piece or whatever. And so it's hard to say, you know, like, there are people out there who they want it now. And that's a lot of the toy collecting community. I want it now. I want to pre-order it. It should. But why is UPS not knocking at my door right after I hit, you know, submit my order or whatever? But if you do have patience in this line, you can be rewarded. Like Romulus was one that I've been eyeing up since I got into the line, and I kept going, I'm not going to do 200. I'm not going to do 200. And then all of a sudden he's in the all-star wave. I'm like, oh, you got my money for that. That's awesome. You know, like,
right. Well, because
So-
now he's not that price, you know,
yeah.
and it's great. Like, I absolutely love that.
Hmm.
Just so you get a sense of, so kind of highlighted all the all-stars. So you can see this is where it all started, right? They got into a couple of things and then they went back to reissue figures. And this list will give you a sense, right? It's not the same every time. You've got a wave, all back to all-stars. And it's not all figures, but they do go back. And then often, like,
Right.
you know, now it's this business of like folks voting, right? And saying like,
Yep.
what characters would you like to see? And so, you know, it's not like them kind of like anticipating what folks want. There's a little bit of, you know, a process for folks to be able to chime in, and it changes every, I don't know. Was that, how many were here that were actual re-release other than, is it just Romulus or what else?
Romulus,
three.
Azar, and Ilgar.
Okay. Oh, it's blue and yellow. Yeah.
So
Got
this-
it. That's
this-
right. Cause now he's green. The big edge.
Right.
Yep.
All-Star 5 Plus, they had selected tier voting, and you had to pick, I think, was it from three groups and then heads for the heads pack?
Yeah, it was basic. It was almost like having a March Madness, the way
Yeah.
that they set up
So
and tiers and all that. Yeah,
It was the his
And-
tank driver or engineer vote on steroids. Yeah.
and it was hard, I think, for some people because they had the way they grouped the characters together
Mhm.
were people wanted to pick 3 characters that were in the same category.
yeah. Which that's
And, you know, which I know they've talked about it being different, or, you know, it's not going to be exactly the same as this one for All-Star 6 because they've said it's going to continue the Necronominus theme. So there will probably be like this. So 3 of the figures that you're showing right now
Mm-hmm.
are reissues. Everything else is brand new.
One,
I mean, the
two,
head
and
excluding the heads
Ilgar?
pack.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Azar, Ilgar, and
Romulus.
Romulus are all reissues. Everything else is brand new. Some of it is brand new parts that have never been. So like they're working in new stuff with the old stuff. That way it's not just because they've said they don't want to just keep looking back.
Yeah.
So I imagine the waves of All-Stars will probably be more like this going forward, where there's a few reissues or even updates
Yep.
and a bunch of new stuff.
The other thing with the reissues that I've heard, and I agree because I've seen some of the originals versus the reissues. Even if you have the originals, some of the paint might have yellowed, or some of the paint might have, you know, been like they didn't have it as clean as maybe it is later on. So if you get the newer one, you're probably going to have more of the paint apps of how the line is now versus maybe the beginning of the line where even the factory was kind of getting their bearings on what the horsemen were looking for with some of this stuff. Because I know
Sure.
like Sir Owain was one that they pointed out as his paint on his armor was so much more detailed and clean compared to the first release that came out. So there are benefits to having that happen as well because of, you know, various reasons of the aging of the figures and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Or just even like the actual, because I believe the paint is different on the 2 Vorgus figures, the blood armor. I think the first one was more red, the second one was a little browner.
Like dried blood.
I've never seen either of them in person, but I know some people have said that the original one was a little bit brighter red, the other one's a bit browner, darker red.
I've heard
What, you've
similar
never
things
seen-
with.
Go ahead,
Huh?
Brick.
I was just gonna say I've heard that it's similar for the trolls. Like these new trolls don't.
Mhm.
There's some variation compared to their original counterparts in terms of color, shade, or whatever.
And it might just be the fact that they just don't have the exact same paint anymore. Or, I mean, because we, like I said, my job, we order molding for picture frames.
Sure.
And when we get in the stuff that they send us a sample of, when we order in for a customer, it's slightly darker or slightly different color than the sample we have. So like, even though it's a mass produced thing, stuff happens.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, like, I mean, you still got to troll.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right? Like, I understand some people are super particular and they're trying to chase a particular type of thing, but at the end of the day, these things are great. Anyway, no one's really complaining. Just, but I just want to give you a sense of like the website's super useful as far as like class type stuff that we've got going on. Making sense of their process and sort of how they've structured their release schedules and sort of like the logic of what an all-star wave is versus a wave. Again, keeping in mind it's relatively new for even like long time fans, because now the studio is multiple toy lines. Like there's essentially now 3 toy lines between Cosmic, Figura, and Mythic. So I don't know how that all is necessarily going to fit in the schedule, or if it's just like additive versus sort of.
Well, I mean, if they keep Figure Obscura just what it is, obscure figures 1 or 2, it's a little easier to work in there. Running 2 parallel lines like Cosmic and Mythic, that's where you get a little bit of that issue. But again, it's like, fortunately, if something goes wrong with one, they've got the other one to fall back on, like Sean was saying about the all-star waves. So it's great for us as fans. We'll always have something coming in. And Curtis brings up again, another all-star wave in the next couple of months, possibly. So, if you placed an order through 4 Horsemen, you get a vote. And that's great to know.
Down. You know what? I realized, go for it. You want to call out this thing and then I'll bring us back to classes.
And AS5 is quite different than previous AS waves. So that's another thing too. They're evolving, just like, again, Necronominus waves, a lot of new tooling. So all-star waves are evolving as well, which we can see because it's getting bigger. It's, growing. There's more demand for it. Everybody here right now, with probably the exception of Sean. Sean, how long have you been into Mythic Legions?
I've been in it like on and off. I got my first ones at the in fall of 2019.
Okay.
And I've dabbled in it ever since until like about a year and a half ago or so when I got Rhaegor in my hand. That was the end of it. I just needed to get more of these. I needed to have skeletons. I needed to have demons.
I agree. Jesse, you've really come into it more in the last year. Correct.
In March it'll be 2 years. Actually, St. Patrick's Day is the day I received Thistlethorn in the mail.
Okay.
But he was the first figure I got. I didn't really get any more until in the summer. Sean got some stuff from someone on the Cabal and was asking if I was interested, and I wasn't even in the Cabal yet. It wasn't, I guess I really got into it right before and going into Legions Con 2021. So fully into it, just over a year.
Got it. So, and now the newest comers are, again, myself, Eldor, and Brick, and it's just like it gets you so fast. It really gets you so fast. But that's not bad.
I think you and I were towards the second episode there, Oz.
Well, yeah, because you and I, episode 1, that was just us sticking our toes in the water like Brick was a little while ago. And then now, we're not chest deep in trolls like Brick is over there with his mountains of trolls all around him. But, we're quickly submerging below the knees. Like, we're just in on Mythic Legions now in a way that we weren't just a bit ago. And it's great that we have these resources to go back to. And Brick, you've done an amazing job putting together again, this class curriculum of sorts to run through with us here,
The
because it helps
visuals.
break it down. And the best part is, if people have more questions, because we've had a couple questions throughout, and guys, we want you to ask questions so that we can try to answer them the best we can while we're doing the class. But I've posted the Source Horseman website in the chat. You guys can get a lot of the same information that we're going through from there. I mean, that's where Jesse, as the head of the class there, lead instructor, because he knows the ins and outs, and Sean right up there with him, knowing a little bit of ins and outs of the stuff that Jesse doesn't necessarily know. It's great that we have these guys that'll walk us through. But if you need more, you need to go over it, and you don't feel like watching us a billion times, but I don't mind the views. You just go ahead and check out the Source Horseman website and get a lot of this info there too.
Yeah.
But
yes, Oz.
Independent study.
Yes, Oz. You're the cartilage that holds us together, shall we say?
I'm all the tendons and ligaments pulling you all tight, holding you up, and Brick's the heavy muscle. He did all the heavy lifting right there, and we got that. Oh, here we go. Hold on, Brick. Hold it up. Do it.
Did somebody say tendons?
There you go. The whole anatomy class I think we've had tonight. Who's the heavy boned one of us?
Well, like I said, my bones are big, but they ain't nearly as big as these guys.
What? Considering who's had a broken bone there out of all of us? Let's find out. Okay, so me and Sean are the heavy boned ones here.
I've only had a chipped tooth. That's about the extent of my bone problems. So.
Oh,
I'm the lazy one who doesn't put himself out in danger.
Brick shoves me out there to get beat up so that he can just, get away. I don't have to be faster than the bear. I just gotta be faster than you.
I was in a car accident. It wasn't my fault.
That's all right. There you go.
I will say there is actually, I just realized in looking at that list, there is one other skeleton adjacent sort of race that we haven't covered that makes sense, I think, too, and it's the undead.
Yes. Right. Especially again with the Necronominus wave, because the undead army builder pack, which is again amazing value, plus again, they're giving you zombie soldiers, and you can pop and swap parts with skeletons.
Yep. And and I'll show the sites kind of breakdown of these so you can kind of see what the figures look like. But
right,
I think these ended up being my favorite of this wave. Weirdly, like there's a bunch of other stuff that I love, but it's for an odd reason because where did that go?
Once you bring up the wave, then I think we should get into that other part of this, because we've all kind of been bringing it up throughout. But definitely we'll go through that last topic once we have that back up. But Jesse, you were about to say something else, so please.
I was just going to say the parts on this, as you're bringing them up, I think you're going to find the spread out. Yeah, there it is, the third one there.
Sorry.
All that stuff is compatible with 1.0 parts. So almost anything from the deluxe wave, the deluxe Legion Builder wave that just shipped, the reinforcement wave, anything that's a 1.0 figure like that, stand it like so dwarves or any of those parts can go. I mean, you could make ghoul or zombie orcs if you wanted to. I mean,
nice.
You'd have to figure out something for the head, but you could put those on the orc parts. Maybe they're phasing in and out of being solid or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you want to do with your undead. And that's the cool thing about Necronominus. It's not just skeletons. So like
that's right.
The undead, the ghouls, the zombies, the ghosts. And we didn't even talk about Hagnon. I think he's listed as a ghost. But it's all skeleton parts for him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and this one, for whatever reason, I actually wasn't sold on the sort of similar setup for the. There's a Cosmic Legions figure that came in their sort of second group of figures that was similar, right? You could kind of build. It's build as a build. It's build as
called the
a builder
Cosmic
pack,
Trooper or whatever. Yeah.
and but for some reason this one clicked with me, and I love that, you know. And to be real clear, like you're getting one figure that you can use different parts for. If you got two of these, you can, you know, make
Mix
two
and
full
match.
figures or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But these transparent pieces intrigue me. I've like I'm big into this toy line that really was like just was phasing out by the time I was really kind of coming into awareness as a kid. I was born in 76, but Micronauts.
Mm-hmm.
And I go back to like, those figures with the transparent arms and legs with the armor. So actually, if you were to get one of these guys and one of those Cosmic Legions builder packs, you could totally make some, they call them time travelers. And anyway, super nerdy, super geeky, but
I love it, Brick.
It hints at, I think, like we've been talking about the lore and potentially where we can go with some of the next classes. We're just talking about what they give you, right? At some point we're going to start talking about what the fans have done and the sort of like other essentially new little toy manufacturers, little companies that have come out around Mythic Legions through the sort of customizing thing. And it just, this toy is definitely like, it just has gone to some really great places, and it excites me about it's exciting, I think, for toys in general. And I have no sense of if there's a connection or not, but we talked a lot about you were talking about Masters of the Universe, what do you call it, the Masters of the World WWE Universe figures yesterday.
Yeah.
And Origins, right? The idea that all these bits and pieces, you can take them apart. And when Mattel and Masters of the Universe came out with Origins, it didn't have to be all about the popping and the swapping, right? And I don't know how much they factored that into the play factor of what people would be doing with those toys. But to me, that's a super exciting. Like the fact that I can have He-Man, but I can also create new characters and mix and match armor. We did it with the vintage back in the day. But it wasn't as elegant, right? But now
some things broke.
Yeah, and just I love that idea. And if more toy companies do that, Hasbro, they classifieds with Marvel Legends. There's a bit of that sort of moving around. I think when people started doing the build of figures, maybe something clicked with folks. I don't know, but anyway, that's kind of how I've come into this new sort of phase of collecting action figures for me. And I love it. I love that Mythic Legion sort of like that is part of the feature of what we do, or you can just enjoy them as is. And so anyway, it's just, I'm thinking down the line, where else do we go after we cover? I think because we've covered most of the races, if I'm right. There's a couple of like these shorter, smaller ones where there's like one or two characters.
Right. Well, I mean, we can definitely loop those in together in one big episode kind of thing, talking about these one-offs kind of thing. I mean, of course, humans took quite a while because they were. It's a lot to talk about with humans.
Yep.
But we'll be able to lump those together, and we'll definitely be getting into the customizing and what people are doing on their own with these.
Yep.
Because that's probably been the most impressive part about Mythic Legions to me, and especially since I've joined the Cabal and I've seen more of what's in there. It's insane. Now, Scott Baker,
and like this guy and that guy right there, and their custom work. Whew.
Right?
Yep.
He almost says who needs them to make anything but army builders when you've got customizers doing stuff like this, giving you those singular figures. That is amazing, Eldor.
Yeah, it is. I love that nose and that beard on him.
When he first showed that off
Thank
after it was all complete
Thank you
and
very
painted
much.
up,
Thank you.
it's like, that's Father Christmas, but not anymore.
Yes.
I mean,
I was a
that's
bit
the best
lazy
part.
on him, mind you, but we got there.
Yeah, you did exactly
You
that.
can take your time, to paint things up, and whenever you feel like it. You don't have to rush it all out there and so forth.
So we've got to get into, since again we've all mentioned a bit here of what we like out of the current Necronominus wave as it's closing down. We're counting down the hours now, less than 24 hours away from the pre-orders closing out. One of the other big things we
13
want to
hours,
discuss.
I think
11.
it's
11 p.m.
o'clock.
tomorrow.
11.
East.
Yeah,
Math.
and East time. So it's counting
8
down.
a.m. for us, guys, in the West Coast. 8 a.m.
PM. That's not 8 a.m.
Oh, is it
your
PM?
time.
Yeah, 11
it's
p.m.
11 p.m. So you've
Oh,
got
I thought it was
until
11
8
a.m.
p.m.
Got it.
tomorrow.
Okay.
You've
My
got
bad.
time, Brick. You've got time to order
Nah,
3 more
dude.
of those
Nope.
army builders.
Nope.
Um,
I'm already,
You're talking about Origin stuff?
well, I was gonna say the must-haves, guys. Who are we doing? Oh, wait a minute. What are you showing off with Origins? Jesse.
Are you
let me blow this up
customizing
here.
a
That's a Stridor helmet.
Oh, you put it on. Oh,
It
cool.
fits
Oh,
I didn't even think.
perfectly on the
yes.
Aethon head.
Oh, that's great.
Well,
So-
what do you know?
Would that
because
work
because you
for-
get that as an extra piece too with that
Yep, there were
horse.
two.
Yep.
There was 2 helmets on
Yep.
the
Like the
Stridor.
2000X
Yes,
version.
Yep. And I'm using this one. I'm making a I don't exactly know who I'm making it for yet. We'll see.
I
Yeah,
may.
just a little paint on that thing because the details are
gonna
there in
fit-
a lot of these things. They just
The detail on that thing is fantastic for a piece that came out of an Origins toy. And I'm not dissing Origins toys. I'm just saying,
Yep.
Origins gets
looked-
a lot of detail that just gets lost.
Yep.
So Jesse will fix your paint apps for like $40 a pop, but Jesse, I may need to talk with you because that'll fit on a is that the same horse head for that came with the
Headless Horseman?
yeah.
Yes.
Because I have 2 Stridors, so I have an extra one of those helmets. Because I always wanted my second Stridor to become Night Stalker, but who knows when I'll get my Night Stalker. But yeah,
Yes.
we want to get into the must-haves. Who are must-haves out of this line? We've all mentioned like one of our favorites.
All of them.
But well, we already heard. So guys, we had all talked about this previously and said we were going to talk about our 3 must-haves of the Necronominus wave to close out, or to get into things here. So the 3 must-haves of Jesse's Necronominus wave is 3 all-ins. So
yeah.
Eldor, why don't you start us off? Your 3
Alrighty, well,
must-haves.
As you know, the gold is a bit low. I'm a poet. I don't know it. So, yes, if I was going to go in, I would probably pick up Sir Arcjack, or however you say it. Maybe Tuberculi. He looks good there.
Here, I'll tell you what. I'll bring it up, and as we
Oh.
say it, then I'll highlight it.
Oh, okay. So
It's okay, Brick.
yes,
I got you.
Please,
First,
thank you.
the first one was
Playing with my
Sir
trolls.
Arcjack, or whatever.
Ukzak.
Who's that?
All right, I think I'm grabbing the right window here.
Boys.
And I guess I'm going to have to zoom in a little bit here. Been
Elijah,
so spoiled
Elijah,
with
Elijah.
Brick handling everything.
Oh, yes, for those who are a bit harder sight there.
Zoom it in, and then what I'll do is I'll actually full screen this screen so you don't have to see Brick play with his trolls all night.
Yeah. You can just hear it. You can hear the
What are you
art.
doing there? You did not see me playing with your toys again, sir.
You know, I can't keep talking about toys, guys, and not play with them. It's just by the
I
end of
understand,
it,
Brick.
I'm just like, it doesn't make
There he
sense.
goes. Yes, I run
So-
like that fellow.
Sir
Beano,
Ukzak.
Beano.
And he's ogre scale, right?
An
Yeah,
ogre,
there it is.
yes.
Ogre scale.
My orcs and ogres I like. And trolls.
I hear you.
And he is an actual ogre. You just don't see his face.
But you see his
But he-
skull.
He has similar teeth work to the orcs. I think.
I mean, again,
Yes,
that right there is.
Yeah. Smashing
This
detail.
is what he's coming with. You get that hammer, beautiful pauldrons, everything about this figure. All right, so that's one of your must-haves, and you said
Tuberculi there.
Topicula. There's
Yes,
again,
yeah.
it's
Tuberculi.
who we've all admired tonight already with talking and skeletons and such. Just the detail work. And who's your last one?
Then was the horse there, Bishop, at the very top there, sir. There he goes, the white horse.
This
there,
horse.
Bishop.
So not even the skeleton horse, but
No.
again,
I might
when
fall
you're
through
looking
the
at
rib cage there.
detail,
Yes,
you're looking at detail.
and soft goods too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is the
Yep.
is
You can see
Bishop
the stitching.
the same price as previous horses? I don't even remember from All Star 5 that horse. Is it essentially the same price, or did they
I feel
up
like
it?
they were 60. I think he and Conobus are both 65.
Okay. Because
The
this
usual
thing with all the soft
BPTS
goods
prices are
and-
about
yeah.
70 odd, I think.
Yeah, I think I could be wrong, but I think these two horses are considered deluxe. I don't remember if they had that in the title or
Well,
not.
that's true.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll
Because
dry
of all
things
the
up.
extra armor, the soft goods, and just all
Exactly.
the
That's what I was
crazy
wondering
detail
if they're charging for that or how they're working that in.
No, he's not listed.
And again-
I could have sworn Jeremy said that in the live stream, but maybe I'm confused.
Oh my
It
god, I
happens.
completely
Well, he's
forgot that the
spearhead.
horse. I completely forgot
Zombie
that the horse
head,
also
yeah.
had an undead head.
He gets
That's
that
amazing.
alternate head too.
Options.
They, again, and for those of you who just want a regular horse's head, you've got that option as well. For some reason, it's not zooming in on this one.
Look at that. You need Lone Ranger
All
on
right.
that thing. That thing is great.
Right? Right?
Yeah, no, I mean,
I'm not going to lie. I just pictured that horse drowning in the sea of swamp of sorrows, though.
Oh no.
Oh, Tex!
Cry,
No!
everybody. Cry.
But he doesn't stay lost.
All right. No. Okay, Brick. Let's go down to you now.
Here we go.
Oh, for me, God,
Must
it's Necronominus. I just love all the armor and everything. Ooh, this is tough. I said the Undead Builder. Yeah, that thing is just crazy.
Okay.
And this is really
Yeah.
tough because I
Which
definitely
one
didn't just
again?
order 3. It's between Ukjak and the Tuberculi, but I'll say Tuberculi.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Again,
no,
just
the tubercular.
completely new piece. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't mean to go super fast, but
It's all good. Which one you want me to revisit? Tuberculi again? Because
we
he's
kind of
so
looked at
great
him
to
a
look
lot
at.
earlier. I mean, we looked at that one, and that one is like really just like made
We
for
did.
people like me, made for Lego builders, right? It's like you can rebuild this thing in so many different ways. And then similar things happening with that undead builder, but I just really love the 3 different heads. You've got like the
Yeah.
zombie head, you've got straight up ghost head, and then you've got this thing with like ectoplasmic goop coming out of his face.
Ooh.
And then
He's got a cold.
Yeah,
Yeah, this.
that thing. What is that? Look at
You've
that.
got all these versions right here.
That's like making Dormammu look silly.
He's just dissipating or.
Wisps
All right.
of spiritness there.
There we go.
I mean, there are others. It really
Jesse,
is hard. I definitely.
Aside from my joke,
So
aside from my joke
I'm
about buying 3 of these,
sorry, Curtis. I'm not going to say Elijah. I have to pick 3, and as much as I like Elijah, I'm not picking him. The 3 I absolutely have to have, and I'm going based on what's depicted on this screen, would be the Necronominus Conibus 2-pack. I'm cheating.
I wanted to cheat, but yeah.
I'm
it's
cheating.
a great way to include 2.
It's there, so it's an option. If not, it'd be the 2 of them and Maxilius. If I can't do the 2-pack, it's the 2 of them, Maxilius and Belualith.
Oh, so good.
All right. Well,
But yeah,
the
I have to
2-pack is
have-
good enough.
yeah.
I will allow that as a one solid choice because it's a one option on there.
But just those characters, because the horsemen have to come with their horse. So in my opinion, that's a set. But yeah, so yeah, I just those characters as is.
I can agree with
Obviously
that.
for customs, you know, I want everything. I want multiple tuberculi, multiple builder packs, multiple Elijahs. But those are the ones I will have to make sure I get those 3, 4. Oh, my headphones are about to die.
Like,
Oh,
oh no. All right, quicker here then. Sean, your go. Tell me what I'm clicking on.
Annoyingly, I'm pretty much very similar to Jesse on that level. I'll do it by how my order went. I only got 2 things that I could order, and then I'll throw in the third one that I would love to get eventually. I did do the 2-pack of Necronominus and Conibus, and I did Maxilius. And then if I could order one more, it would be Belualith.
See, this is why we're friends.
Okay.
I had no idea we were gonna. The only other option that I could have went with to sidestep would have been Sir Gideon, because he's a hell of a figure too. So he'd be like right there with Belualith on my must-have list. But this is one of those waves where the bad guys just are so freaking cool that they overwhelm me to even need the good guys.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's out of the good guys. He's the one that I absolutely must get.
I can agree. I mean,
so I don't even know if I need the horse. I might get Bishop eventually, but if I get Gideon, I'm happy. So it's interesting that they didn't do him and Bishop together, like the Necronominus one. So
that is curious, and I'd wondered about that. But I was also thinking it may have to deal with pricing, maybe, because again, Necronominus being deluxe at 60 and Conibus being 65, you get a discount ordering them together. Whereas,
yeah, well, that's also I figure it's probably the horsemen themselves, since Erethyr, Alithia, Poxus, and everybody else has had the 2-pack for those. It makes sense, and then like Gideon, he was sold on his own originally, so selling him again on his own kind of makes sense. But yeah, like it's like I want to pick pretty much every part of Necronominus's guys to do this, and that's the worst part about it. It's like you can't go wrong with any of those skeletons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you can go wrong with a single figure in this wave.
No, you really can't. Well, when it comes to toys, I'm one of those people that will definitely say straight up, you can't go wrong when you're buying toys, because as long as it's making you happy, then you won. You did it. So for me, sadly, again, mine's going to sound pretty much like Sean and Jesse. I'm all about the critters. So this was a no-brainer for me. Like, this was that first night we looked this up. Done. I was done. Maxilius, done. Absolutely done. And the undead builder pack, because who doesn't love a bunch of dead guys?
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
that's in my top 5. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like, all of this here to just build, pop, and swap and do things with. There's so many choice and options here of what you can do. You know, those are just my top 3, but again, you can't go wrong with these. There's nothing here that I mean, you know, Sir Aldrich from the Charlotte Hornets might be the closest thing you could get to getting something that's probably not as cool as some of the other things in this wave, but I mean,
isn't
he's still awesome, and
he is awesome.
The swappable. He's got that generic Prince Charming knight that you always just want the barbarian to smash in the head because this guy spent too much time talking about himself. You know, but I mean, look, I was a 90s kid. I had a Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. My sister can attest to that. So I get it. I understand the peacock feathers. I get you. But, you know.
But see, what I love about him is, he's got that preening peacock, you know, hoity-toity look to the overall figure. But the story,
right.
Like, it sounds like he's one of the best hero characters. Like, he's what does he say? It says he's like funding charities for the arts and stuff.
Right there.
Like, you know, he's the rich guy you want on your side. He's Tony Stark.
He's the rich guy Tony Stark.
He's the hero, the rich hero you want on your side. That's going to be there with you and helping people out when the fight's not going on.
And he don't take no shit. Look at that face.
Yeah, like, I love that face.
Right there says it alone. You know, so
absolutely.
Again, with the visor down, he is that hoity-toity looking peacock knight. But the moment that visor comes up, you know the shit's about to get real. Like,
unless you come at me with a paintbrush.
The Rock is cooking.
Unless you come at me with a paintbrush and an easel, you shall taste steel.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm getting out of this. It's like, you know, you stepped to Bob Ross, but you stepped wrong.
If you do not bring your head to the trees, I shall beat the Necronominus.
Yeah, you know, I'm really kind of disappointed that initially I was like, man, I want to go all in. I just, you know, financially can't make that happen right now and had to make some serious cuts. But I gotta like shout out and appreciate the fact that we're getting these 2 nights, you know, these 2 nights of color. There have been some already prior, but this is the first Asian character, right? That stock figure, and I didn't get him. And you know, but because there was just so many things to cut between that and Elijah too. Those are great looking faces, and you can switch them out. But unfortunately, just had to kind of cut things out. And the Knights things aren't exactly my thing, but if you I don't know if you noticed, the pauldrons on him are amazing. He's got those sort of wings sticking out. I mean, I could do that. That's the thing. I really had to just be like, stop looking, like go with your gut. What do you want? Move on. And we'll see, like Sean said, maybe later, but but it's hard. I will say it's hard because, as people have already pointed out, there's an all-star wave that's going to come out. There's just more and more. So
I know, but that's why I had to get parts of this wave, because
yeah, for sure.
It's the cheapest. I just had to be patient. In the meantime, I got to buy all the slightly more expensive, but that's okay. So going through here, and I noticed people started posting several of theirs, but Curtis is all in on Elijah, man. He bought so many Elijahs that the Four Horsemen are going to think he is the most favored character of the entire wave now.
But then
Curtis
they're going to see who it goes to, and then they're going to realize, oh, that makes sense.
All right. So Adam's getting a spare bishop for the Wizard and the Poxus wave. I think that's a great idea because, again, the Wizards and the Poxus wave, you can feel those Gandalf the White kind of vibes. So having this pure white horse too, it's a good call. It's a good call.
You should buy him for me, Adam. I'm a wizard.
Oh, thank you, by the way, figuratively speaking. I was just going straight down the chat here. Thank you. That's right, everybody. Again, the whole night, like Button's been talking shit, so go smack it around a bit, please.
Whoa.
And if nobody says Elijah, I can't be held responsible for the status of my channel subscription. Hey, look, I'm already -7 from all Eldor's jokes all night. So, I mean, what's another -20? Go ahead. I started off with 124, I think, and I'm at -300 already. It's just going to keep going, though, later I get. So, here we go. Nolan's mention. Sir Adaric and Maxilius agree. Again, good choices, Aldrich. Thank you. And not sure about the third, but again, you can't go wrong. And Sergeant Slaughterhouse, Zazel talking about the detail. I know it's insane. It's right up there along with classifieds. I'm not angry, just to support. Oh, ouch! We had the dad jokes, and now we get the ultimate dad line.
Yeah.
It gets better from Curtis too.
I need to go home and rethink my life.
All right, Elijah, Necronominus, and Gideon. Excellent choices, Scott. And say hey to Zazel, Belulath, and Maxilius. Yep. Say again. Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Now, Curtis, I'm not saying I'm not getting Elijah. It's just if I could only get 3.
Yeah.
And if I could only get any.
Right. Right. Eldor wants to get them all.
Oh, jeez. It's a good thing I'm on Wish Po2, so I already know how this feels. It's not like it's a big deal to me anymore.
So shame. All fell apart. The characters
well, it's hard when you can only pick 3, and there's so many to choose from.
Believe me,
I'm your favorite child. If you have children,
I do. One,
which I don't,
and it can't pick a favorite even with
favorite child. That's the worst part.
No, I got my gray hairs another way.
That's funny.
I'm sorry.
So my sister just attesting my Charlotte Hornets starter jacket. I'm assuming.
I'm proud I got him to honk on air tonight. That's all.
Excellent. Now we got people grabbing their force because again, it's really, really hard to pick just 3 out of these.
Yeah, that was rough.
When I mentioned Jesse jokingly getting 3 all-ins as his must-haves, I don't think there's anybody that could disagree. If you had the unlimited funds to do so, who wouldn't?
How about we say we pick out 3, then an honorable mention there. Sir Elijah. There we go.
So
he's back in.
I refuse to give in to someone who's just saying that that's his favorite character.
If we say that knight's name 3 more times, Curtis is just going to show up in the show.
Yeah, that's true. We don't need that.
Ooh.
That's no good because then it'll be like Beetlejuice and I'll power over the entire internet.
Wait, is that a thing? If we say Elijah 3 more times, could Curtis show up?
I never tried that before.
Jesse, if I were to say Elijah one more time, do you think Curtis could make it in here? Hint, hint,
I
nudge,
can't.
nudge.
Just
Or
saying.
it might be the Candy Man. You better be careful there.
He's going to Candyman.
Oh no, not the Candyman. I mean, there's a possibility I don't know. I could even possibly say it one more time, but I don't know. I'm not sure.
Oh,
Just
here's
saying.
the bear thinking about.
Actually, right now it's taking me too long to do it. I was gonna pull Curtis up and actually just shoot him the link and have him jump in. But I suppose I should ask. He could be. I don't even want to know
There's
what
a
state
spot.
Curtis
There's a
is
spot
in
right
right
between,
now.
right between Jesse and Sean there. I'm sure you could.
Right. It's a little empty.
I think I'm about to lose power on my headphones
right.
here. So
All right, so we're gonna wrap this up then. I was trying to go through the chat and get everybody else coming in.
sorry, guys.
What do you think? How about we kneecap off the night there?
I think so. I think that would be
one more and do our pickups maybe.
So I wanted to give the shout out to Danny Phillips for making it all the way from the UK. He's 5 hours ahead in the future, so it's 5:30 a.m. But yeah, guys, we're definitely going to be wrapping it up here. Everybody, you can't go wrong with this wave. Pick it up. And that's why we wanted to talk about skeletons tonight. It was perfect timing. So everybody, thank you for coming in and joining us for class. Danny, I'm sorry you're popping in right at the end, but I'm glad we were able to see you here. Glad we were able to give you a shout out. You have to go watch the replay, but that's always fun. You've got 3 hours and 30 minutes of replay to watch. Enjoy your morning, sir. Also, real quick, did want to mention to everybody, the 5 of us after Sean's abrupt announcement last week have definitely decided that we are going to try to do a giveaway coming up in the future. We're still hammering out the details, but each and every one of us are going to put a personalized piece into this kind of thing. And when I say personalized, it may not be custom because I'm trying to do the custom thing, but I'll be adding something from my Mythics and Figure Obscura kind of like as a part of it. Eldor is going to be doing some custom. Brick's going to be doing some custom. Jesse's going to be doing some custom. And Sean is, here he goes. He's just going to show what it's going to be.
Yes.
So there we go. A barbarian builder. And the rest of us are going to throw in some spare parts. So we're going to hammer out the details, figure out how we're going to do it. And then we'll be seeing how you guys are going to sign up. And by next class, we'll have the details hammered out. That gives us a month to figure it out. Which I'm sure 5 of us could figure. Maybe. I don't know. If I still have any subscribers left. Anyway, guys, thank you all for joining tonight. Have a good
bag
one.
of bones, guys. Bag of bones is what you're getting.
That's right. Bag of bones.
If I can plug real quick.
Bye, everybody.
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah. What you got?
Tomorrow night, Curtis and I on Shooting the Shelf
right.
have the amazing Sean Scavarna and Matt Dooch from Legends of Grayskull podcast, aka Potu Wish.
I thought it was going to be somebody cool.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm
somebody
sorry.
cool.
Oh yes.
Look. Toy Frenzy
Stop
can't
listening
be
to your
everywhere,
parents,
okay?
Sean. Stop listening to your parents.
Make sure you tune into that one.
Well, I'll be there tomorrow night. See you, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, folks. Good night.
Good night.